Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. We're just gonna kind of ease into this here. I'm gonna play a few clips about Carney's meeting in China. Then I got a few other things prepared. Then we'll just kind of see where the stream goes. But just gonna be pretty chill to start off with. Feel free to say hello in the chat, and let's go.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is here in Beijing with 5 members of his cabinet. He's got the ministers of Industry, Foreign Affairs, Natural Resources, International Trade, and Agriculture. Plus, he's got the Premier of Saskatchewan here. And they were all officially welcomed in the Great Hall of the People by China's number 2 in command, Premier Li Qiang. National anthems were followed by an inspection of a military honor guard.
And that's pretty cool. He's got the Premier of Saskatchewan there, too. I wonder if Trudeau would have done that. I mean, man, it's very, like, as a commentator who probably would be incentivized if Carney was a total, like, joke, it is a lot harder to criticize Carney than Trudeau. So I probably would be doing better on this channel if Trudeau was still in power, just based on the fact that he was such an idiot. But, yeah, that is Scott Moe. I think that guy's name is Hodgson, but I'm not 100% sure. And then Melanie Jolie. Actually, I was going to wonder or ask. I didn't realize that she was still kind of in the fold. I thought she switched positions or something. And then, anyway, I can't remember this person's name. I know she's Anita Anand, I think. I know this guy I've seen around, but I forget. But yeah, that's definitely Scott Moe. So I don't know if Trudeau would have done that. Brought Scott Moe to a meeting like this.
Welcomed in the Great Hall of the People by China's number 2 in command, Premier Li Qiang. National anthems were followed by an inspection of a military honor guard. And then to business. With Carney and Li looking on, all those ministers signed multiple new or renewed agreements between the two countries on a host of issues. There was a memorandum of understanding to boost exports of Canadian pet food to China, a renewed commitment to fight crime, and promises to boost two-way tourism. Ministers signed agreements on energy and on plans to boost the use of Canadian wood in home construction. But despite the presence of Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe at a meeting between Carney and Li, no agreement has emerged, at least so far, to drop Chinese tariffs on Canadian canola. And even though Carney met earlier today with officials from the world's largest maker of electric vehicle batteries, Canada has not budged on its policy of high tariffs on Chinese EVs. Now, Carney has one more day left here in Beijing, and on Friday, he'll meet with the number 1 politician in the country, President Xi Jinping. David Akin, Global News, Beijing.
So pretty interesting stuff there. I'm going to get a couple more Carney videos here before we head over to some other stuff. That's from yesterday. We'll go with this one from DRM News. I don't even know what DRM News is. International, stories that matter. I don't even know what country this is based in. DRM. Maybe, no, these places are from all over the world. Maybe this just truly is international news, but let's see what this has to say. Whoops.
北京人民大会堂举行仪式，欢迎加拿大总理卡尼对我国进行正式访问。
Never mind, it's in another language, maybe Chinese.
While Donald Trump was telling reporters that Canada doesn't matter to him, Mark Carney was landing in Beijing to a grand state welcome. Red carpets, formal ceremonies, senior Chinese officials on the tarmac, the first Canadian Prime Minister to visit China in 8 years, and invited personally by President Xi. 2 images, 2 realities, one leader being publicly dismissed, the other being publicly embraced. And the contrast couldn't have rattled Donald Trump more.
No real advantage to us. It's irrelevant to me. Canada would love it. Canada wants it. They need it. Because we don't need Canada product. That's the thing. You know, I want to be a nice person, but we don't need... I want to build the cars here, not in Canada. We used to build cars in Canada. Now, the Canada cars, the Canadians are moving here to build cars. Same thing with Mexico. Same thing with Japan. Japan's paid us billions and billions of dollars for the privilege of making cars here and selling cars.
This wasn't a routine diplomatic stop. This was Beijing sending a message, not just to Canada, but to Washington. China didn't just receive Carney, they elevated him. State-level treatment, language emphasizing the magnitude of the visit, and repeated references to a reset in Canada-China relations. That doesn't happen unless Beijing sees strategic value, and they do. Because
Yeah, I think what he's referring to in this reset is, I think Trudeau, I don't know if this is going to necessarily come up here, but I don't know if it's this story. Trudeau responds to China's alleged election interference. Here, we'll go to ChatGPT. Did Trudeau do? Hello, Emraz. How are you doing today? To upset China in 2022. Is it something he said, or there definitely was something Trudeau did? Took several actions and made statements that angered the Chinese government and contributed to tensions between Canada and China, publicly raising concerns about Chinese interference, asserting support for freedom of expression and protests. Trudeau said people in China should be allowed to protest, banning Chinese telecom, tougher tone on China globally. I got this, I got that kind of, I got another thing new on my stream setup, except it's not really working right now, so I'll have to do it later, but I'm trying to get like the chats to come up real big on the bottom of the screen, but I don't know exactly what I switch in the settings. It's all good. The reset is left the left takeover. It very well could be. I'm gonna try to get this video from Trudeau talking about or basically just criticizing China. Justin Trudeau criticizes China COVID. Maybe there's no video of it. Trudeau says Canada will not stop calling out. Okay, this will be interesting. Let's take a look at this here. Chinese President Xi confronts Trudeau at the G20. This is November 17th, 2022. We were talking about this the other day on the Canadian news. I can't remember the person, but Chinese President Xi Jinping chastised Canadian PM Trudeau on Wednesday for leaking details of a prior G20 summit meeting. Oh my gosh, man. I guess I got the chat. Trudeau was so unbelievable.
Everything we discussed is then leaked to the paper. That's not appropriate.
Wow. There's such a powerful man, too, just like calling you out here. Everything we discussed.
And that's not how the way the conversation was conducted. If there is
This is so funny. In another language, you got basically the second most powerful, arguably the first, because he just gets to continue to be the leader of China. Meaning the American president has to keep running. They can only run 2 terms. Xi runs like the Communist Party in China. You could definitely make the argument this is the most powerful person in the world.
If there is sincerity on your part,
free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will.
He's so smarmy and condescending, Trudeau. Look at the way he talks to this guy. Nothing about what Trudeau is saying seems sincere. Every time he ever spoke, it was like that.
Free and open and
Look
frank
at him.
dialogue.
Like, it's like a teenager that just got in trouble for smoking weed or something.
And that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to.
创造条件，创造条件。
Let's create the conditions first.
好，
Yeah, he said S. He didn't want him to say. Totally. A senior government official said during the meeting, Trudeau expressed concern that Chinese interference in Canadian domestic affairs, about Chinese.
Where was Sean?
G20 in Indonesia. There's Putin and Trump. We'll get back to more of a current video here. Oh, I got this. Not the right. It's fine. I'll just quit. Yeah, it looks. We will go back to this Carney. I think I'll play this one here.
Well, Prime Minister
Did you see any good moments on TV yesterday or anything about like on CBC panels? I quickly looked. I didn't see any big moments from last night or anything. Like that Lisa Raitt moment, which you were right. I found it eventually. I don't think that clip was actually on, though, the CTV YouTube channel. I think they got rid of it. So I think I found that on some other random person, actually, that I don't know, just uploaded that to YouTube. I don't know where they found it, but maybe it was on more of a CBC live stream or something.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney is meeting with Chinese leaders and officials in Beijing today.
Carney says Canada is entering a, quote, new era of relations with China and praised the leadership of the country's president Xi Jinping, as well as the speed of progress in bilateral ties. Carney's also been in and out of marathon closed-door meetings with businesses throughout the day today, including with Alibaba, China Natural Petroleum, and China's largest state-owned commercial bank, ICBC. The PM also set to meet with Xi Jinping tomorrow.
Meantime, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand met with her Chinese counterpart in Beijing. Wang Yi told the minister Carney's visit marks a turning point in Canada-China relations. Wang says the progress between the two countries will lead to opening up new prospects for relations and unprecedented and complex changes taking place in the world.
I mean, we'll see.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in China, the first visit by a Canadian Prime Minister in nearly a decade, and day one.
This video is 55 minutes ago. PM Carney. There's a lot of the Canadian news right now is definitely about Carney being in China. Yeah, I didn't see much seen on Rebel. That's a trans. Hey, Dave, good day to you. That a trans faked her death after an argument with a conservative or something like that. Really? I'll check that out. That was on Rebel? That sounds pretty spicy. I mean, I like that there's a lot to cover, but I want to do this live channel because is there anyone in Canada that does sort of a channel like this where it's just a live stream and they go over the news of the day and then comment on it and stuff like that? Like maybe there are people in Canada that do this, but I'm not aware of them. Maybe Emraz, you would know. I don't know. You seem to be pretty like tuned into Canadian politics, which is sick. But if there is, I don't think anyone that does this sort of live version is super popular, at least. So, but I find it fun. And it's something I think that I would like to watch. Like if I woke up, I think I'd have it like I can't even talk. I'd enjoy watching somebody kind of go over the news, get to chat back and forth, get some different opinions. So, yeah.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in China, the first visit by a Canadian Prime Minister in nearly a decade, and day one featured several.
Yeah, Bill, what's his name? I don't know about this person. There's a person named Bill that does this? There's got to be. I've never seen it. And I think it's fair to say that nobody that does this is super popular. I think that'd be fair, but maybe I just truly have not seen it yet. It's mostly question period. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Which question period will be fun to follow for sure. But obviously it doesn't happen all the time. It's actually quite incredible that it doesn't happen very often. How many days of the year, actually, I'm going to ask ChatGPT that. How many days in a calendar year is Canadian question period? Before it answers, what do you guys think the answer will be? Ah, dang it already. That's not... Is that true? Is it that often? $130 to... I feel like it's hardly ever on. Oh, Elevate went live today. Cool. How come there's like hardly ever... I feel like the question period happens maybe 60 days a year. Is it just because we had an election year and there's been just a whole bunch of turmoil? There was like that... I don't think we call it a government shutdown here, but what do we call it? Like a recess or something? It's every day. The question period is every day. Oh, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of question period that includes. Okay, maybe I should ask this question. What about question periods where the PM is present? That's probably what I'm. Maybe there's question periods that just are. Okay, interesting. Yeah. This is what I was thinking in my head. That's my bad. Yeah, okay, this is more like it. So was there a question period today, Emraz? When they are there, it's on. They have committee, prorogue. Yeah, prorogue, right, yeah. Okay, so this is probably what I was thinking of. Just those moments where it was Trudeau versus Poilievre, stuff like that. So, yeah, 30 days a year. It's 2 to 3 times a week. I'll check this out here. Give me a... I guess I can ask. Was there question? Day in Canada? When was the last question? No, there was no question period today because Parliament is not sitting. According to the House's official calendar. The House of... Just give me a second. I'm going to sneeze here. Hope you didn't hear that. I moved the mic. I don't know. When was the last question period? December 11th. That doesn't really help me. Okay. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Yeah, dang. I was hoping I could get some question periods. He would go on Wednesday, but then Carney... Okay, Bill Kelly, I'm going to look up. He would go on Weds, but then Carney is there. He's there 2 times a week. Yeah, Carney. Oh, so Carney goes a little bit more than Trudeau, it sounds like. I'm going to try to find this Bill Kelly person. Oh, cool. Bill Kelly. Let's see. Yeah, he was live 17 hours ago, 7 weeks. This guy goes live quite a bit. Oh, yeah, he does. Jeez, the chat. Thank you, Dave. But he's covering American. I'm trying to keep this channel to be Canadian news, which I'll cover American stories, though, when they have a direct impact on Canada. I mean, you can argue they all do. But like, for example, the Trump Greenland stuff, I might cover that here because I think that's pretty important to Canada. But if it's just general sort of drama in American politics, I have other YouTube channels. Here's this Bill Kelly guy. Do you like this guy, Dave? He's quite left. Interesting. Political career and more than 10,000 live talk shows. Bill Kelly has earned the right to opine. Actually, everybody has the right to opine. He may be just kind of saying that to be dramatic. But then we'll go Elevate. Let's see what Elevate is doing. But I don't think Elevate podcast is really a podcast anymore, right? It's mostly just him making YouTube videos, which is still good, but I don't know if you'd call it a podcast. Oh yeah, he did go live. Let's see what he said, because he took a break. I think someone in the chat said he took a break to have a child, right? We have this production value from this guy. Him on an airplane. Is that Jasmine Lane? Yeah, he's got a cool little intro thing.
But also disrupted criminal activity at the international level. This is the whole conversation here, folks. This is the conversation.
He's got not a bad graphic. Hey, Random Reynolds, how are you doing? Yeah, I got this. I think this will work. I don't know how this is going to work with my... I'll just do it and see what... I got this one. This is kind of the graphic I use for my other YouTube channel. I don't know. These things are super easy to make, but I think this screen looks better, at least for live streaming, than this, because you kind of give away a lot of the screen. I mean, I guess I could do this, and I could like take the chat. Or no, that was not fun. Guess I could do this and like put the chat up here or something. I think this just takes up too much screen though. And that chat's way too small. I don't know. There's another thing called Streamlabs that I was using. Try to get like a big chat bubble so I can highlight one chat specifically. But anyway, he went live this morning. Yeah, it's cool. No spend time in the U.S. His wife's American. Wow, cool. Fantastic. Got the day off. So his wife lives in America? Like, does he not live? He had a baby during the election. Or his wife is just American, that maybe her family's down there or something. That's what I'm assuming. Fantastic. Got the day off work due to the snowstorm. They're not complaining. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. The snowstorm. Where is that? I haven't even been outside yet. It could be literally snowstorming where I live and I just don't even know. Just a hermit. I was outside yesterday though, a fair amount. No, they live Nova Scotia. Cool. Nova Scotia, wow.
They are literally...
So it looks like I'll just see what he's generally been talking about in his stream today. Carney government talks about China about EV tariffs. Lowering or dropping tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles in exchange for easing punitive Chinese counter tariffs on canola and seafood. That's interesting.
We'll drop the EV tariffs if we can get this stuff sorted. There is nothing that Mark Carney won't do in order to appease China. This is what we are learning.
Yeah, I guess I have a different take than this Elevate guy, because I'm kind of fine with that. That sounds fine to me. What's the problem with that? Is it just because China sucks, like in this guy's opinion, or what does he think? I'm not trying to dump on him. I like this guy.
All right, non-negotiable. Even Poilievre said it on my show, and he said it again today. EV tariffs are a non-negotiable. We cannot allow them to run roughshod over our industry here. Just can't. They've done it in every other industry. Why are we going to let it here? The Toronto Star says this: Carney government in talks with China about EV tariffs. Canadian negotiators are in active discussions with China about lowering or dropping tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles in exchange for easing punitive Chinese counter tariffs on Canadian canola and seafood. But government officials decline to say how it might affect Canada's trade tensions with the U.S. administration that is hawkish on blocking China's EVs from North America. On the eve of Prime Minister Mark Carney's trip to Beijing, the talks are considered...
Man, I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? What do you think? I don't mind this, because if you're Carney... You've got to act in the interest of Canada. I don't think you need to. I think you can do this even if Trump doesn't necessarily like it. I think it's fine. Again, unless you go to Trump and you say, okay, what's your deal? What do you want to do for Canada here? You want to drop some of the tariffs on Canada? You want to renegotiate the USMCA?
So politically sensitive as the U.S. and Canada navigate.
Power went out last night. Wow. I'm in Middle Ontario, Southeastern Ontario. Cool. Very cool. China is too dangerous. Yeah, I don't think you ever fully trust China, because they always see China gets accused a lot of manipulating the market and dumping, and I don't think they're just going to become perfect actors overnight, of course.
The upcoming negotiation.
But being able to sell our canola and our farm product and our seafood apparently into China is very important, obviously. Humongous market. Like the Chinese market's just about as big as the American market.
Knew the North American Free Trade Pact that Canadian officials would say very little about the tariff dispute that is jamming Ottawa between China and the U.S. and opened a double trade war for this country. Welcome to liberal Canada, folks. It's been saying it for months at this point. It's nice to see the mainstream media start talking about it. That we are pitted between two of the largest economic superpowers in the world. And we are being forced to make a decision. There shouldn't really be a decision here, but we're, because of who's in power, we are being forced to. Do we go to China across the Pacific? Or do we trust our neighbors to the south? Based on what you're seeing from the media, you'd believe that we should just say, screw the United States. Let's go hang out with China. That's what we're seeing. I'd be curious to know what we're seeing here in the chat. What's the chat saying, folks? What are we seeing here? I'm seeing... I
don't think it's either or. I just think you got to kind of deal with what the current situation is. And the current situation is that Trump's kind of trolling Canada. And I think you just get the best deal you can in any environment. China-EU tariff agreement on EVs seen cutting shipments, but boosting profitability. He's going to cover some of this other stuff. We'll go somewhere else, but what Poilievre is doing. Because Trump, Trump knows that Canada has to act in its own interest. He's not, he's been dealing with people his entire life. There's no way Trump actually thinks Canada is just going to sit around and wait for America's approval to do anything. Pierre a psyop. Loony Lefty calls Poilievre a psyop, has no answers when pressed about it. Yeah, let's watch this video actually. Cat Canada, who's definitely much bigger on X. I guess she has a YouTube channel. I didn't really know this. But I might play this video. Oh, look, this is kind of cool. Cat Canada and Wyatt. It's a month ago. BC NDP is crying about 1BC and it's hilarious. Zero evidence for the 215 claim. I like this Dallas Brody. Is BC, does anyone in the chat know, has Dallas Brody been in the BC House of Commons talking lately? Australia is fine with China, then we will be okay. Australia is close with China. They have BYD and deal with the Chinese market. That's interesting. There's a bunch of BYD cars in Australia, I guess. That's cool. He says that EV are too dangerous because they can blow them up remotely. Wow. Who said that? That's, I mean, it's kind of a good point. If things ever turned very south, which they very well could in any situation, I guess. Yeah. No, the BC legislature, the current session runs roughly BC legislature is not sitting right now. I'll see what this video is from Cat Canada. Cat Canada here at the Pierre Poilievre rally. Pierre Poilievre rally in Duncan, BC. A protester showed up calling Poilievre a foreign psyop.
Cat Canada here at the Pierre Poilievre rally / town hall in Duncan. It's pouring rain, but I made it here. There's already some protesters calling Pierre a psyop, so I'm going to go see what they have to say about it, and then I'm going to go into the rally. Stay tuned. Just about to approach the protesters. About your sign? Who are you? I'm Cat.
Okay, thank you, Emraz.
Cat
from what?
From myself, from Nanaimo.
Okay.
You said that Pierre is some kind of psyop? Like, what do you mean by that?
You go home and look it up.
Go home and look it up? Well, you're right in front of me. You'd probably have the information already. Would you mind sharing? Like, why is he a psyop?
No.
He's a foreign psyop. So that's a heavy accusation. Why don't you want to talk?
Man, I would say 99% of protesters have no clue what they're talking about. This always happens. There's so many clips of people going up to protesters and saying, okay, what do you think? They just remembered one slogan.
I just want to ask a quick question. How is he a psyop?
It's a good question because what does that even mean?
How is Pierre a psyop?
And what country would it be? If Pierre was a psyop, what country do you think would be pulling Poilievre's puppet strings? That's kind of a tongue twister. Pulling Poilievre's puppet strings. Who would it be? Like, what would be the accusation? I literally can't even think of a foreign country that would be associated with him. Venezuela? I mean, isn't his wife from Venezuela? But that would just be so insane.
Tamara Crone is failing. Just a few details.
Yeah, USA, I guess. USA. I don't even know what the advantage for them would really be in doing that. I don't think, like, Poilievre is not that, like, during the election, I actually think it would have been better for him to have a different position than Carney. Like, I think Poilievre and Carney during the election basically had the same point of view on the elbows up stuff. Carney was more aggressive about it, but I think Poilievre just totally let Carney take that mantle and didn't offer any sort of opposing view, I would say. Like, I think Poilievre actually would have been, I think it would have been more advantageous for him during the election to go meet with Trump. At least show a different side. Be like, hey, I'm just spitballing here, but this is my strategy. Yes, Trump is trolling us, but we have to work together, and I'm the person, Pierre, to get this done. And I'm going to talk to him, and we're going to sort things out, and we're not going to be the 51st state, something like that. But he didn't do that. He just, like, I think Poilievre would have done way better during that election to go try to meet with Trump, try to meet with American podcasters. Like, he obviously turned down Rogan, which is banana land. That would be the biggest mistake I think Poilievre made. Literally is turning down Rogan, because that podcast is just on another level. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's overstepping. Bend over, here comes China. I hope the woke love communism. Canada has been sold to China. Well, we'll see. I saw like a thing, it's overstepping. It's overstepping. You talking about Poilievre? Are you responding to what I said about Poilievre? Or Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, like I truly don't, maybe I don't even need to say this, but if anything I say you don't agree with, I don't care. Like I like disagreement. Canada, in my opinion, needs more healthy disagreement. I think a lot of people are afraid to have their ideas challenged or something. Not people like regular people, but people in the news media in Canada seem to always want to be in an insular bubble.
Just a few words. How is he a PSYOP? Foreign who?
There was a code he couldn't go see Prez because he's not PM. Wow, that's so stupid. I don't like that rule. Let's see. Could the leader, Canada's opposition, Poilievre, go meet with U.S. President Donald Trump during the Canadian election campaign? My spelling there was brutal. In principle, the leader of Canada's opposition during the could meet with U.S. President, but it's highly unusual and politically sensitive. There isn't a legal prohibition to preventing it, but there are strong political, diplomatic, and convention-based factors that would typically... Yeah, I don't know. If there's no legal ban, I think he should have just done it. Because he had to somehow differentiate himself. And that doesn't mean you have to just go there and then have the media be like, well, you're just sucking up to Trump. Obviously, they would say that anyway. But then you have your point of view and you tell people, no, that's not what I did. I blah, blah, blah. But Poilievre just let Carney have all the spotlight. Which is strange because before that, Poilievre did such a good job of taking the spotlight away from Trudeau when he talked about the housing crisis and stuff like that.
Foreign PSYOP, which foreign nation is he a PSYOP from?
Good question.
Ma'am?
Stop harassing me. I'm going to call the police.
Oh
Harassing?
my God.
How is this harassing?
You're harassing me and I'm going to call the police in a few seconds.
This is a public...
I'm going to have you arrested for harassing me.
This is a public
Don't
space,
harass
ma'am.
me. Don't harass me.
I'm not harassing.
Look, you can't... This person, I don't feel bad for her at all. Like zero, because you're protesting. You're in public. You're protesting. When someone comes up and asks you questions, that's not a harassment. If that's harassment, then so is this sign. You're harassing my eyeballs when I'm trying to live my life.
Don't harass me.
I'm just asking a question.
Don't harass me.
You have a sign,
Don't harass
and I'm
me.
just asking you about your sign.
Don't harass me.
I'm not harassing you. I'm just asking you a question. I'm 6 feet back from you, and I just want to know why you think Pierre is a PSYOP. That's a heavy accusation, calling the leader of the opposition a foreign PSYOP, and I just wanted to ask you about it. Any words? Any explanation?
Stop harassing me.
I'm not, ma'am, this isn't
Stop
harassment.
harassing me.
Ma'am, this isn't
Stop
harassment.
harassing me.
Is that all you have to say? Is someone paying you to do this?
That's a good question as well. That's a great question.
I'm allowed free speech and you're harassing me.
This is my free speech.
You're harassing me.
This is my free
You're
speech to
harassing
ask you
me.
a question. This isn't harassment, ma'am. If you're holding a sign that's so accusatory, you better be able to handle some
Call
questions.
the police then.
Pardon?
Call the police then.
I don't need to
Call
call
the police then.
I don't need to call the police.
Stop harassing me.
This isn't harassment, ma'am.
Stop harassing
This
me.
is just my free speech
This
and
is
your
going to
free
be so
speech.
much fun on the internet.
I think it will.
It will be.
Do you think you're going to come?
It'll be so much fun on the internet. For who? Maybe for me, maybe for us watching this. It's not that much fun, but it's a little bit fun. This woman sounds like a parrot, just a total NPC. She has dialogue of 3 things. Stop harassing me. I'm going to call the police. She said, this can be fun on the internet. So she changed it up there.
We're going to call you Laura Loomer.
Do you think you're going to come off looking
Listen,
really
Laura
good?
Loomer, can you leave?
My name is Kat. It's not
Laura
Laura.
Loomer, you crazy? Can you leave?
Now she'll keep repeating the Laura Loomer thing.
Well, there's no need for name calling. I've been
Then
pretty
stop
cordial.
harassing me. These people have watched you harass me. Now leave me alone.
You think this is harassment?
Yes, it is.
I think you're quite wrong. You should go home and look up the definition of harassment, and you should consider.
Stop harassing me.
You should consider.
Stop harassing me.
You should
stop harassing me.
This isn't harassment.
Stop
This is a
harassing
public
me.
place.
Peace, not war. Collaboration, not dominance. I don't even know what that sign would be like in support of.
Stop harassing me. This isn't harassment. Stop harassing me. Okay, well, you have yourself a good day. And you have a very good day too. I hope you... Peace to you and the world. I hope you consider the heavy implications of what you're trying to say with your false sign. Stop harassing me. All right. Stop have a good one. Me. Stop harassing me. That's a very heavy accusation to make without any proof.
This was not just a rally. This was also a town hall. Pierre Poilievre and Jeff Kibble took unfiltered.
Does everyone in the chat, do you guys like Poilievre or do you not like Poilievre? Because I know there'd be obviously lots of people like him. And then I would say the majority of people that don't like him are left, but I think there also are some people in Canada that don't like him from the right, that don't think he's the best leader, but I still think he has this general support of the Canadian right. Like I think he will win the leadership review. I also don't think there's any obvious sort of challenger to Poilievre. So for that reason alone, I don't think he's in really any jeopardy. But I liked Poilievre. I didn't like him during the campaign. I like him a little bit more lately, but like I hope he learns the right lessons from the campaign and stands up for his beliefs more, which he was doing. I don't understand what he was thinking during the campaign. It was such whoever was consulting him or whatever, but I think the buck obviously ultimately stops with Poilievre. You just don't need to listen to those consultants. Like whoever told him not to go on Joe Rogan should never be in Canadian politics ever again. That's not hyperbole. They should go work at Tim Hortons because they have no clue what they're doing. It's actually the dumbest thing possible. That's the amount of ego you have to think that your opinion that he shouldn't go on the biggest show in the world because you think it'll, in your dumb mind, the calculation is, it'll offend people. That person lives in a crazy bubble. Not like, I voted Poilievre, but glad he didn't win. That's pretty funny. To be honest, like I'm definitely glad, looking at things glass half full, like I'm definitely glad Carney is replaced Trudeau. Like at the beginning of the stream, I showed a clip that probably nobody was here yet, but he brought Premier Scott Moe with him to China. I think that's a positive step. Scott Moe is a conservative. I don't think Trudeau would have done that. He fired her. Cool. Do you know who that was? Maybe it's not public knowledge, but I'll watch this interview, I guess. Let's see what Poilievre says.
Questions from the crowd. To see that portion of the event, you can view my X live stream of it. I will link it in the description. Stay tuned to watch the moment where I catch up with the leader of the opposition to get...
I actually want to see that.
That he's decided to come to our riding.
So the quality probably is just going to suck, but that's okay.
You were born in 1923. But you're 102 years
If we can't really hear it, I'll go to a different video.
Some politicians do a little bit of math. And he's going to be part of our effort. Basic priority would have the opportunity.
Yeah, I want to go to the part where he's answering questions, because I think that'll be interesting.
For the 2018, because the government's
and I'm a nationally renowned subject matter expert about cybersecurity. I've written multiple best-selling books. I speak to the world. I'm the person that ran a security across Canada in 2015 for our election. I've done counterterrorism, etc. Our security posture, the cybersecurity posture of our public service is pathetic. It is completely unacceptable. If we want an affordable...
I'll just play this for a little bit, because if we can't really hear the questions, it's going to be tough, but I'll get a couple answers from Poilievre.
Canada, we need to stop being undercurrent identities.
The question, though, it sounds like is about affordability.
Having our government departments breached constantly, and right now there's no standard, there's no policy, there's no accountability for constant cybersecurity breaches across our public service.
Cybersecurity, I guess.
Our commitment from the Conservative government to do something about it, please.
I think the question's about cybersecurity. Maybe, I don't know.
We have to be ready for a new security environment. That the attacks of the future may not resemble the attacks that we look to history and see. It may not be planes slamming into buildings as we saw with 9/11. It may not be traditional military invasions. It may be a major cyber attack on a bank that scrambles records so that people's mortgage liability is erased, or some people might say that's a good thing.
That's pretty funny. Your mortgage liability is erased. That'd be actually quite nice. I don't know, but the quality is kind of tough on this. I will go just back to
his
this.
reaction to the meltdowns happening in response to his expressed support of removing the criminal communist dictator Nicolas Maduro.
My family fled a communist regime, and I know your wife also fled Venezuela. And what struck me is when you expressed some support for what happened in Venezuela, for taking down of a communist criminal, some people decided that that's not a good thing. And in particularly one person I noticed, Andrew Coyne, who I have to get this out because I know there was a tweet from him saying,
Do you guys know Andrew Coyne? That guy on X is a total clown show. He is such a baby. I'll pull up his X account. That guy is incredible. Yeah, Byrne. Okay, I did hear that. So Byrne is out? It's hard to be a centrist because you get stuck in the middle of all the drama, yeah. Plus, I think it's just, some people call you a fence sitter if you're centrist, but I don't know. It's probably hard to be anything politically if you're actually active politically, just because you get criticized, but whatever.
we must take international action to take this guy out. And then when you express some support for this, he was having a little meltdown there.
Well,
so I just wanted to get your comments on that.
Well, first of all, I just say a good secret to success in politics is to always find out what Andrew Coyne thinks and do exactly the opposite. So the fact that he had a meltdown suggests that I was on the right track. Look, Maduro was not the...
Yeah, do you guys know who Andrew Coyne is? I think he works at the Globe and Mail. And he is unbelievable. Look at this guy here. He's got some crazy takes on... I might be blocked by him. I don't even... This is his name, right? Maybe I can't even look him up. Does anyone know what his... This would be his thing, right? What the heck? I'm probably blocked by him. Which is crazy because I don't even remember tweeting to him. A coin, let's see. Yeah, I've got it here. Oh, I muted. I muted his account, I guess. This would have been a long time ago. I don't even remember doing that. Am I blocked? No. I'll unmute for now. Look at this. This is the count. Ukraine flag, Israel flag. I don't know. Is that Georgia? What is that? What is that flag? And then this one, Venezuela, maybe? No Canadian flag, though. This guy's just such a petulant baby. He's always crying about something. Trump, Massport. There's a bunch of retweets. This is lame. Oh, man. The people that do this on X are so annoying. They just retweet. I kind of think this shouldn't even be a part of X in a sense. Because this is not what I want to see. It's just him retweeting a bunch of stuff. This is lame. Here, I'll go here.
It will find
Carney hints at sacrifice. 2021. No, there's nothing new. Okay, I'm going to play this video here now because there's a video that I had planned for this stream. I want to play it here because it's actually very fascinating, I think. It's this one here. So, okay, we talked about this yesterday, probably other days too. Does anybody know, like, I didn't even realize this. Apparently, the term coastal First Nations isn't really a real term. It's like a lobbying group, I think, according to this person here. I'll play this clip, and then we'll kind of look into what this is. But the person in this clip, I think, makes a great point, assuming what is being said here is true, because I didn't even think about that. Like, I don't even think coastal First Nations, that phrase, is really even a thing. This person kind of breaks it down quite well in this clip.
So a very important meeting for coastal First Nations, one that they have asked long for, and one that Prime Minister Mark Carney will be having with them tomorrow.
There you go. Why are we going to get
Coastal First Nations? We're seeing it. If you look, just a little bit of a kind of, I mean, maybe you don't even need to be told this, but you're being told this by a journalist, so maybe there's some authority added to it. But have a look at the headlines from the Canadian Press and CBC, the headlines and the stories related to this, to coastal First Nations. You see in both of them, coastal First Nations, without any explanation of what that is put in the headline on both of them. So Canadian Press and CBC, they just put it in the headline in the same way as a journalist, in the same way that you would put Calgary or North Korea or something like that, like a real big boy proper noun that everybody understands. It's like no explanation needed. And then you look, and both of them, the intro just says, we'll meet today with coastal First Nations. No attribution, no explanation, nothing about what this group is. It's just presented as though it's a good old-fashioned proper noun that everybody knows about, you know?
And that is such a good point. There's no explanation of what that is. One day they just all start saying coastal First Nations. I don't know what that is, truly. I just assume, obviously, oh, these are First Nations on the coast.
You know, it could have been like Iroquois or something like that, like a really famous name, and you know what that means. But they've put it in there as if we know. That is, I mean, that's maybe a little bit subtle. I don't know if people, I've been a journalist for so long, I don't know if people even would recognize that as subtle, or if they've seen how obvious that is. But coastal First Nations is not Calgary. It's not the Iroquois. It's not a proper noun like that. You actually have to do the work and explain. So you wouldn't be able to put that in the headline. If you were actually being a serious journalist, you couldn't put that in the headline. You would have to say lobby group or something like that. Or you'd have to say, you know, First Nations coalition or something. You have
Isn't that a good point? Yeah, I think I would admit to being kind of tricked personally by that. What is coastal First Nations in Canada? Like, is it just a lobbying group? Refers to a coalition of Indigenous First Nations located along the Pacific coast of BC, as well as the broader term for these peoples. There are two related meanings. The formal organization, Great Bear Initiative. This is a political and stewardship alliance formed in 2000 by First Nations whose traditional territories, the Great Bear Rainforest, environmental protection and marine stewardship, economic development, frequently referenced in debates about, your chat, idiot tube, made me go, I thought my computer was like freezing or something. What is this? There's a bunch of drugs in a brick building. Is that the point of the chat? Is it like a puzzle? You say the wrong thing, they'll block you. A bunch of babies. I've never heard of them. Yeah. But isn't this kind of fascinating? Like this coastal First Nations thing. Apparently it's just like a Political and Stewardship Alliance. Outside the formal group, Coastal First Nations is also used informally to describe any Indigenous nations whose traditional territories are on Canada's coast. In plain terms, so yeah, it's essentially presented like this official thing that just exists, but it's like some alliance that was formed for the benefit of the First Nations. I don't think that's very fair framing from all these news organizations on what this actually is. The other thing that bothers me about this is, like, we hear about, oh, you got to take, we got to be like elbows up and take one for the team. Like, remember during COVID, they told everybody to be locked down in their homes to protect vulnerable people. But then in this instance, in this version of history in 2026, we want to build a pipeline as a country, and you got like this one powerful lobbying group that says no. That's so selfish. It's actually very infuriating. Is Coastal First Nations a lobbying group? Yes, but only in a limited, specific sense. It's not a traditional corporate lobbying group, but it does engage in advocacy and government influence activities that meet the broad definition of lobbying. Great Bear. See, like, this is such a tricky little sleight of hand to call it Coastal First Nations. That is way better marketing than if you called it the Great Bear Initiative. Everyone would probably think that there's something fishy happening, because this sounds like you're doing it just for the benefit of whatever the heck this is. This sounds like an official name, like that person was saying. It kind of sounds like Canada, or, like you said, Calgary. A non-profit alliance representing multiple Indigenous nations. Like, this actually seems quite fishy to me. Does it lobby governments? Functionally, yes. Corporate lobby. Coastal represents rights-holding governments, represents private interests. But just the fact that it's not for profit doesn't mean that there's some shady stuff going on there. Like, I mean, I don't know how much money they get from the government, but I'm sure it's quite a bit. And how much of that money really goes to what they're saying. Like, one of the justifications I heard from a guy yesterday was, oh, we don't want the pipeline because we want to protect our economy. That seems like the exact opposite reasoning from the truth. If you want to protect your economy, don't you want more economic development? That just sounds like such a horse crap justification. How much money here's what public sources show about Canadian government money flowing to Coastal First Nations, Great Bear Initiative, and related Indigenous stewardship efforts. If you want, I can. Oh, damn it. The largest amount headed to this, 200 million, but I want to. The province of BC also funded Great Bear Sea project finance for permanence. The government of Canada's committed 200 mil toward a 335 mil alongside 60 and 75. Like, I mean, is all that money, and that's a lot of money. I'm out of Chat GPT. I got to upgrade this. I'm not going to do that right now. Can I even just not? Can I keep talking to this thing? Say if I go, Great Bear Sea project or permanence. Here's what public sources show. Just show money toward coastal First Nations, exclude related. Oh, and I can keep talking again. Anyway, Gemini. You like Gemini? You do not want. You don't want to play ball. No money for you. Yeah, it's misleading. Yeah, Carney doesn't want to do it, so he's using them to scapegoat. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if I kind of feel like Carney wants to do it. Like I just think Carney is too nice, sort of. He's trying to appease too many people. But I do think on some level, Carney understands that Canada is in like an economic emergency, and I don't think he wants his legacy to be the guy that just got in there and did nothing about it. So I kind of think he does care, but I'm being hopeful. Like I don't think he's probably philosophically anti-pipeline because he's really big into net zero crap, but it seems like he realizes that it's important right now, but I mean, I don't know. He's not pushing it aggressively enough in my opinion. And I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe he just does not want it. No, it interferes with Brookfield. They own the American pipeline. Also, Brookfield would make less money if the Canadian pipeline was made. Wow. I hope not that. I mean, I hope that's not the case. Yeah, I don't think Carney wants his legacy when he's done to be like, you took over a bad economy and you didn't fix anything. High rates pay for extortion to stay commissioned, I guess. High rates pay. Yeah.
To explain what it is, but instead they've put it in there, and I can't help but think that the reason they've done that is to give the false impression that this lobby group represents every single BC coastal nation, and it's some kind of like perfect united front, and that this is an irresistible force that's opposed to the pipeline development, when in fact we know it's not. It's a handful of nations, and it has some quite mysterious origins, and it's a lobbying group. I just can't. It appalls me. I mean, who'd have thought I could have an even lower opinion of the Canadian media, but I do now.
And it also is had a few different names before it changed itself to Coastal First Nation, and it had some American roots as well. I think it was Great Bear or something before that.
Yeah, something like Save the Rainforest or something like that. It's a, it's a lobby group. It's a lobby group the same way that there's a lobby group that goes to Ottawa to complain about things like, canola or something like that, or the auto. Like, there are all kinds of lobby groups. They go there and they knock on the door in Ottawa and they try and get what they want for their, for their members, people that pay for them or support them. But this is sleight of hand. This is an attempt to say, no, it's not a canola lobby. It's like Saskatchewan. That's what it would be. Or it's like, trying to make it seem like it's a much bigger deal rather than just a handful of groups that want, they want their voice to be heard. They want their voice to be privileged above the voices of other Canadian citizens.
I agree. I don't like what this is. This Coastal First Nations thing. Seems fishy to me. And again, it seems very unfair that they can block the pipeline when the entire country would benefit. And maybe 1,000 people on the coast don't want it? Like, I don't even believe that it's all Indigenous people. I definitely don't, that are against this pipeline. Someone somewhere thinks it's in their best interest to be against the pipeline. These people, I guess. I don't know what they're... I don't buy the argument that it's all about environmental protection. I think it's probably something to do with the fact they get those hundreds of millions of dollars to clean up the government, and then where does all that money go?
Well, coastal First Nations leaders say that their meeting with the Prime Minister went well yesterday.
Owner and operator of the Colonial Pipeline, the deal valued at approximately $9 billion. Owner of Colonial Enterprises. That's a company's name. It's called Colonial Enterprises. That's funny.
Yesterday,
we heard directly from the Prime Minister that his government will seek our free, prior, and informed consent regarding any proposed projects in our territories.
That is Coastal First Nations President Marilyn Slett, and she says the nations are ready to facilitate major projects that are built in partnership with Indigenous peoples. But their support of the oil tanker ban, they say, is steadfast.
The position that we have on the Oil Tanker Moratorium Act is really grounded on, these projects that we see that have been greenlit or about to be greenlit, and that we can't see or support in any way oil tankers on top of that.
Again, Coastal First Nations President Marilyn Slett speaking yesterday. Now, this meeting came after the federal government signed a memorandum of understanding with Alberta, which included a path forward for a possible oil pipeline and the lifting of an oil tanker ban along BC's north coast. The pipeline itself would run from Alberta to the coast in northern BC. For more on this, we have reached Regional Chief Terry Teegee of the Assembly of First Nations. Good morning to you, Chief.
Good morning.
Coastal First
Okay, we'll come back to this. I'm going to pull up something else here, which we just talked about before this.
Joe Rogan says Pierre Poilievre turned him down. That's annoying some conservatives who think it cost him the election. Hi.
So this obviously is a little bit old of a clip, but we talked about this. I want to go over this just right now quick.
I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Yes, it's absolutely true. Joe Rogan reached out to Pierre Poilievre's campaign. He wasn't the only major American media outlet or personality to reach out and say, hey, we'd like to talk to you. Well, here's the reality. Pierre Poilievre turned them all down. Here's Rogan talking about this on his podcast on Tuesday.
I offered to have that Pierre guy come on the podcast.
Really?
He didn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Thought it was too problematic. Or whatever. Jordan told me, I forget what he said, but they were telling him not to do it. Like his advisors were telling him not to do it. Hey, dumbass.
If they can't talk to you and have a conversation hold up, you're not grilling people, you're not attacking people. Of
course not.
This is like a safe, the friend zone type thing.
Okay, here are some other people that I can tell you from personal knowledge and experience that reached out to Pierre Poilievre and his team and said, we would like to have you on. Ben Shapiro reached out. Ben not only reached out directly to Pierre Poilievre, he asked me, can you help me get him on? Glenn Beck's team wanted him on. Fox News wanted him on. The Nelk Boys, which is a Canadian-originated podcast, the Full Send podcast.
I didn't hear about this other stuff. I was just getting some food.
Zone type things.
Okay, here are some other people that I can tell you from personal knowledge and experience that reached out to Pierre Poilievre and his team and said, we would like to have you on. Ben Shapiro reached out. Ben
Poilievre would have won if you would have done this.
Not only reached out directly to Pierre Poilievre, he asked me, can you help me get him on? Glenn Beck's team wanted him on. Fox News wanted him on.
Yeah, this stuff, this is why. I mean, this really made me mad during the election and afterwards, hearing all this stuff. I just remember as like a Canadian who was not happy, obviously, with the direction that Trudeau put our country. I was so pissed when I heard all this, that Poilievre didn't do all these shows. These are such a layup. You get so much attention and exposure on all these shows.
The Nelk Boys, which is a Canadian-originated podcast, the Full Send podcast, started in Mississauga. It's Canadian and American now. It's got a huge audience. They also asked him on. So why didn't Poilievre go on that? Well, initially it was because they were so far ahead, they didn't need to do podcasts like that. They didn't need to do anything. They were having a 15 to 20 point lead. And then when things changed, well, going on American podcasts, that may have driven away some voters. The Conservatives were not lacking in young men looking to vote for them, but they were lacking in voters 55 plus, 60 plus, who had originally been with the Conservatives and were now looking at the Liberals or had moved over to Carney's camp completely. Why? They were afraid of Donald Trump. So the whole calculus changed. Before, you didn't need them. And yeah, sure, there would have been some risk going with an American.
Man, I didn't know all those other shows, actually. Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro, Fox News. I mean, oh, you would have got so much exposure. Like Glenn Beck and Fox News, Pierre could have got to the older crowd too. Nelk Boys, even Rogan to some extent probably would trend a little younger, but I mean, Rogan just gets everybody. Rogan's show is huge in every demographic. Let's go to this Jenny Byrne. She's gone? Is there a push from within Conservative caucus to oust Jenny Byrne? Jenny Byrne says she won't run the next Conservative campaign.
Advanced polls are now open in Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre's by-election race. He's trying to make his way back to the House of Commons after losing his Ottawa area riding in the federal election. His former campaign manager, Jenny Byrne, is speaking about how the party fared in a rare interview, joining Beyond a Ballot podcast to talk about the election results and her future with the party.
I am going to, as I said, stay on as an advisor. I am now. I, of course, advise Pierre. I speak to people on a daily basis, and I'm going to continue to. Do that. But I've stepped back from the day to day, and I'm not going to run the next campaign.
Rachel,
good. I mean, to the degree that she messed that up, but I honestly blame Pierre though. Ultimately. I mean, if you're going to be the prime minister, you're the final voice on this stuff.
Siegel did the interview. She is a host of Beyond.
Yeah, we'll get back to some more current events. Any suggestions of what people want to see? What do you want to see, Mraz? Any suggestions? Yeah, Steve Outhouse is his new advisor. Man, you know everything. Are you a man or a woman, if I can ask that? Trump threatens to invoke Insurrection Act. Oh man, I wish they weren't talking so much about America. We'll also get to the Quebec news a little bit. That'll be pretty fun to follow. Because Legault, in Quebec, Legault looks to will be Quebec. Yeah, Legault is out. That was surprising to me. I didn't know that he became unpopular. LOL woman, Joelle. Nice.
After years of tense and difficult relations, Canada and China have signed a number of new economic agreements in Beijing. It comes on the first full day of a trade mission to China, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney.
This is indeed a very important meeting.
Yeah, Mraz, is Melanie Jolie, did she switch positions? I didn't realize she was still I mean, I thought she was kind of out of her old role. Maybe I just misremember that.
The most auspicious start.
Melanie Jolie is very annoying. Oh my gosh.
This is indeed a very important meeting and the most auspicious start to the new year and to a new era of relations between Canada and China.
Critical for certain, but so far, none of the memorandums of understanding that have been signed involve a resolution of tariffs imposed by either country. The CBC's Ashley Burke is covering the Prime Minister's visit. She has the latest from the Chinese capital.
We saw a grand welcome here in Beijing for Prime Minister Mark Carney. China is opening the doors to Canada after years of diplomatic tension.
She is industry. She was foreign. Was she foreign under Trudeau or Carney or both? Oh, Anita Anand has that job, foreign minister. Okay, yeah, I see. I thought she was just out altogether, but I guess not. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I dreamt that or something crazy.
To reset relations, there was a band on site that sang Canada's national anthem, and also an honor guard that was there after Carney met with China's premier.
It's a partnership with new focus and greater depth and a sense of purpose. And I look forward to realizing its promise and building on it in the years to come.
Then Carney witnessed his ministers who are part of his delegation sign a series of agreements. And one of those was a memorandum of understanding to cooperate more when it comes to clean and conventional energy. Now, that document said that both countries will strengthen talks between ministers when it comes to oil and gas, resource development, LNG, and emission reductions, and it builds on past agreements. Both countries also signed agreements to try and boost the export of Canadian pet food to China, and also boost tourism between the two countries. There was also a renewed agreement around combating crime, but nowhere in those memorandums of understanding was a resolution to an ongoing trade dispute between the two countries. Carney is under pressure while he's here in Beijing to try and get some relief for Canada's agriculture sector, which is getting hit with retaliatory tariffs on a range of products, including canola and seafood, and that
She's rumored to be leaving. Wow. Jolie. Yeah, okay, this is probably what I saw. Well, to become the ambassador to France. Oh, okay, never mind. I thought that was another Chrystia Freeland situation where she's just going to go work for another government. Never mind. Jolie herself has publicly denied these specific rumors about leaving, take the Paris ambassador role. Okay. But she has definitely been in the media less lately. I haven't seen an interview from her in a while. She gets so flustered in interviews, Melanie Jolie. Man, it's kind of like a, I don't know about a slow news day, but I wish there were no internet. See what Moose on the Loose is saying.
In the middle of this is Canada. The Prime Minister is in China right now. How does Canada stay out of trouble?
It's already happening. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today, we're already seeing some fresh propaganda about how China and Canada should be working together and strengthening our law enforcement and security ties. Not really surprised, as well, this is what China does. We got some updates on Greenland, Iran. Let's jump into this. Look what we got here. Table Salt posting this. That was quick. The Chinese ambassador to Canada has published an article in the Ottawa Life magazine calling for international law enforcement cooperation between China and Canada, moving in the direction of the Global Security Initiative. Of course. Here's Wang Di, who met Mark Carney at the airport.
That's that guy's name? Let's go. Wang Di.
We've got the article here, Ottawa Life magazine, Advancing the Global Security Initiative by Wang Di. This is from that guy, the Chinese ambassador to Canada. Today, new types of transnational crimes, especially telefraud and online scams, have become a global scourge and a governance challenge confronting the international community. For example, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre received 52,000 fraud reports involving $645 million in reported losses in 2024.
Jolene Hodgson speak with reporters in Beijing. Is that a video, Dave? I'll take a look at that. That'd be great.
Continuing an upward trend. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you know my take on this. I've been a victim of identity theft. These people have absolutely decimated my life.
One of the many strengths.
Really? He was a victim of that? Yeah, Jolie is in over her head. She seems like it is. In the interview, she gets so defensive so fast, or in like those committee meetings or whatever that is where someone from the Conservative Party is kind of grilling her, I would say she just melts down almost every time. Yeah, she can't handle it. Carney looks younger there.
Of China is their perspective, their medium long-term perspective. This is an ambitious G20. It's an ambitious Chinese leadership.
Goes on to say in November 2025.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I'll check that out right after this.
93rd session of the Interpol General Assembly adopted a resolution which highlighted the increasingly rampant crimes such as human trafficking, online phishing, romance scams, and investment fraud by transnational scam centers around the world. Now, he goes on to talk about Xi Jinping propose a global security initiative. I mean, come on. This coming from the kingpin of human rights abuses. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Now, jumping out for a second here, we got Sam Cooper on Brian Lilley's podcast. And with this topic here of integrating Canada and China for law enforcement and security. And what do we have? As Brian Lilley says, China takes a cut of most of the money laundering going on out there. According to Sam Cooper, should we really be trusting China?
At the end of the day, China, is, as my U.S. senior sources say, every dollar laundered in the Western Hemisphere. At the end of the day, Chinese organized crime, money brokers, underground bankers with connections to the Chinese Communist Party are facilitating and directing and taking a cut. And that points to the TD Bank case where, the record shows, and my U.S. sources say, Canada was nowhere to be seen in regulating massive money laundering through our banks. It had to be the U.S. DEA in the New York, New Jersey sort of banks to crack down on that. And my story last night pointed to...
I'll keep playing this video, but I'm going to quickly update the thumbnail for my video, but this will be playing in the background anyway. You can keep chatting and stuff.
TD Bank employee in Manhattan facilitating a network that laundered close to $500 million US through New York TD Bank branches.
And while we're talking about TD Bank, I have this on the chart here. Frank McKenna, TD Bank agreed to a $3.1 billion settlement over allegations of facilitating money laundering for street candy cartels during McKenna's tenure as deputy chair. So that's what Sam Cooper's talking about. It's America that had to prosecute TD Bank as Canada let this slip under the rug. Frank McKenna, the deputy chair during this time, is the very same guy you can see connected to Mark Carney here. In 2020, McKenna, as chairman of Brookfield, brought Mark Carney over as vice chair and lead ESG, environmental, social, and governance investment strategy. McKenna brought in Mark Carney. This is the same guy wrapped up in money laundering with TD Bank. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. So further on here, it says in June 2025, a Canadian law firm in Vancouver fell victim to a business email compromise scam. Fraudsters posed as a regular contract sent fraudulent emails to trick the firm into wiring $2.3 million to a bank account in Hong Kong. After identifying the fraudulent transfer, the bank alerted the Hong Kong police force. Thanks to close cooperation between Chinese and Canadian police forces, the transfer was successfully intercepted and the money was recovered finally. That's the perfect example to just intertwine Canada and China here. That's what this article is trying to paint. Use a couple little examples here and say, oh, we did such a good job working together. We're now new best friends. In the receipts here, $2.3 million. As Chris Liam, Director General of the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, said, this recovery demonstrates the power of global partnerships in the fight against fraud through opened up Apple Daily, which is a pro-democracy newspaper.
Okay, Dave, I'm going to go check out that video. I'm just going to copy what you said here. Put that into here. I don't know. Is it on YouTube? Oh, nice. Look at this. This is a channel I should look at more, I think. I will start doing that. Thank you, Dave. Just sort of official stuff here. Very nice. Okay, this Wob guy, by the way, I'm going to get right to that video, but this Wob guy, I actually think he's kind of cool.
Out the purple carpet.
But he's like an NDP leftist dude, but I think he's pretty cool. I probably don't agree with anything he thinks politically, though. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Jolie and Hodgson, this will be good.
Hi, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. I'll start in English. And
Bonjour tout le monde. Does anyone in the chat speak French? It's always on. It's always on? Yeah, really? I actually didn't know that. What is it right now?
Le secrétaire parlementaire de la ministre de l'Industrie, M. Carlos Letao.
Carlos l'État assiste à un événement de bombardier.
Nos fournisseurs,
Janvier.
également les membres de l'industrie, des alliés importants qui nous propulsent chaque jour, et l'équipe Bombardier, sans qui rien de ça serait possible.
Possible. Je comprends pas. Two watching. Oh yeah, look at all these live streams too. This is awesome. Wow, this is content. This is content city here. Wow. Foreign Affairs Minister comments on future. Okay, here we go.
I'll go to French, and then Tim will talk in English. So first and foremost, we're both happy to be part of this important delegation.
That's cool. Je parle français. Très bien. I don't speak French, but I can speak a little French.
Why? Because, of course, this is a new year, and we're now in a new era of partnership with China. And so it was important for us and the Prime Minister to come as this first visit to Beijing, and meeting obviously with Premier Li and tomorrow with President Xi. We've seen since the beginning of the year, there's lots of disruptions around the world. Maybe Venezuela, maybe Iran, maybe obviously a lot of unpredictability south of our border. But we've said it many times.
A lot of these Canadian politicians, I think you can just tell they just dislike Trump in their bones. I bet you behind closed doors, they just roast Trump. That's what it feels like to me. The Trump derangement syndrome in these interviews just pours out of them.
And we continue to say it. There are a lot of things that we cannot control, but there are lots of things we can control. And we'll focus on what we can control. And who we do business with is something we can control. And that's exactly what markets and that's exactly what businesses are looking for. Stability, reliability. And so that is why...
Reliability. Melanie Jolie always sniffing the blank. LOL. He said Bombardier wasn't there, nothing would be possible. Bombardier. Well, I think Bombardier gets a ton of government funding. What a stupid government. Thank you, Mr. McGee's. Thank you, D2C, for checking in on the stream. I don't understand why he's there unless they're doing a deal with the EVs. But they are potentially doing a deal with the EVs. She's a drunk.
Tim and I, obviously, with the Prime Minister, supporting the Prime Minister.
Is there any rumors about that? There were rumors, right? Or not rumors, but wasn't there a report that Melanie Jolie was spending a ton of money on like fancy hotels and fancy dinners and stuff? Or was that Chrystia Freeland, or was that both of them? The French stream you had on.
Have met many businesses today, maybe in natural resources, energy, maybe in clean tech, maybe also much more in manufacturing. And the goal was to see what type of investments could be made in Canada and how also can Canadian companies export to Canada, to China. Because it's important to remember ourselves, China is the third biggest investor in Canada with $50 billion invested in 2024, but also China is our second biggest client in the world because it is our second biggest market where we export. And so...
it is, but we went over that yesterday. America is about 8 times larger than China in that regard.
As we continue these conversations, and as of course there's important diplomatic engagement, we want to make sure that this makes sense to Canadians, for Canadians, that this creates good jobs back home, that while a lot of workers are asking themselves...
She is on some, her and Freeland, yeah, maybe I'm not going to say those words on the stream, but I hear you. WEF. That's funny. He is on.
How can they continue to have a good job? And while anxiety is high, we think that coming here will create much more certainty, and we can continue to work on stability and therefore prosperity for for Canadians.
I agree, Emraz. The platitudes, like, yeah, so far she said nothing. We need to be sustainable. We need to be prosperous.
Donc, je vais le dire en français. En français, ben, en fait, on est dans une nouvelle ère et on commence l'année avec une délégation importante ici en Chine. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on pense que...
Pourquoi?
En lien avec aussi les nouvelles technologies. On fait plaisir de travailler avec François Legault to transformer the leadership.
Like Canadians to know is today was a very important day in our relationship with China and what it means for Canadian workers going forward. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes. A quote from the chairman of the Standing Committee. It is a new era in the relationship between Canada and China. It is a full turnaround in our relationship. China wants to move forward in a mutually beneficial way with Canada. The Premier said tonight, we desire a new strategic partnership with Canada. Today we signed 8 agreements, as you all saw. I signed an...
Yeah, but I don't think any of those agreements had getting rid of the tariffs in there, from what I saw. Maybe that has changed, but I wonder what the actual meat and potatoes of those agreements were.
MOU with
How stupid are they trying to join the EU? Is that official policy? But I've heard, I mean, there's definitely been meetings like that Canada-EU summit, things like that. What a disgrace. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't think we'll join the EU. That would be, I'd be so mad if that happened. Like I'd be furious. That'd be something that would make me for sure want to move. That would be just so stupid. Even more taxes, probably even more money to go to bureaucrats to just push paper around.
Administrator Wong of the NEA, and tomorrow I'll be over talking with him about how we take that to the next level. Today I also signed an MOU with Minister Ni around the use of more Canadian wood in Chinese construction. Tomorrow night I'll be with him visiting their home exhibition where we will see the latest technologies and how we can use more Canadian wood in China. These are good things for Canadian workers. These are good things for Canada. And this is just the beginning. There's more to come.
It's incredible, AP, that this government's been in place for that long. It is just so unbelievable they won again. I don't think that can be stated too many times. What is it? January? Maybe this time, maybe not a year ago, but about a year ago today, maybe 15 months ago, I think the Liberals would have had like a 1% chance of winning again. And then Trump won and started trolling Canada and things changed. But towards the tail end of 2024, the Liberals had like a fucking 1% chance or something of winning the government again.
This is not a one and done. We will be back here more, looking for more ways to get Canadian products into this country so more Canadians have good paying jobs.
Reports highlighted Global Affairs Canada, the department overseen by Jolie, spent approximately $51,000 per month on alcohol. What the heck? Yeah, is that the report that came out? Yeah, I'm sure it is. That was incredible. Doing this China partnership is the worst thing they could possibly do. Never mind the panda virus they manufactured in a lab. C'est dégueulasse. I think that means it's disgusting. Words, no action, no accountability, free tax spenders dealing with a communist country, right up Trudeau and Carney's ideology. Alberta's getting insane lineups to vote their independence from this clown show. Do you support the independence D2C? Also, your point about this China partnership, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I'm figuring it out kind of as we're going. I don't probably hate it as much as you do. I don't like want to get that intertwined with China, but on some level, I think if America is going to put tariffs on Canada, then Canada should do something. The problem that I do have, though, is this will probably be coupled, though, with not being serious with domestic policy. Like, for example, obviously the big example now is the pipeline. I've made this point so many times. Canada says we're trying to diversify away from America, but then we're very hesitant to build a pipeline because we don't want to offend environmental groups and indigenous nations. That's insane. So I have a feeling that a lot of this is just theater and just sort of empty talk, and nothing will really change, because I don't think Canada will be a powerful nation again until domestically we stop being so basically defensive and negative and anti-growth, just building. We don't build anything hardly anymore in Canada, so we will see.
The MOU that you signed today puts a lot more emphasis on oil and gas, and specifically Canada looking to expand its supply to the United States. That's a big difference than the one in 2017 that was signed between Trudeau and the Chinese government. What opportunity do you think China offers when it comes to the export of oil and gas?
That's a good question. See, like the Melanie Jolie smirk. She always, like, every time in a thing, she gets this look on her face, like she's almost like laughing at the reporter or something. I don't know if maybe that's just like a tick that she has.
And the Chinese government. What opportunity do you think China offers when it comes to the export of oil?
She always does that face.
So I disagree with that framing. I think this was a framing around Canada and China sharing a view on how to get to net zero. This was a framing around how we work together in, yes, convention.
Yeah, I agree, AP, that it's a lot of phoniness. Boatloads of wood. Jump and pray for the best. If you're on a sinking ship, you try to save your life. Yes, I vote for the nightmare to end. Yeah. I mean, I've considered moving, but I mean, I was traveling for a while. They have too much power. We're going to be in the middle of WW3. Hope not. Alberta, USA. That'd be quite something. I think there's I don't think the chance of Alberta leaving is zero. There's a Quebec. Apparently there might be another Quebec referendum soon here too.
Energy, but also in clean energy. We met today with a number of clean energy companies who are world leaders.
So again, I think it should be on the Carney government right now. I think their number one priority should be getting the country to actually work together again. I think a lot of that hinges on telling the lefty morons of the country to honestly just shut the fuck up for a while. Like the centrists and stuff like that, and the people that are right wing have to come together, I think, and tell the people who are anti-progress or so obsessed with DEI and stuff that they just have to shut up for a while. And obviously they can still talk, but we take them so seriously, and the country has gotten so much worse for it, in my opinion, for sure. Not even really my opinion. The economic data backs that up. So I don't know. And I think Carney is still trying to be a little bit too nice to the far left, because I think on some level he just agrees with them. I think he's pretty pro-environmentalism and climate change crap like that.
In things like onshore and offshore wind, in world leaders, things like solar, world leaders in things like grid storage. We had comprehensive discussions around how they would like to bring that technology.
You think Carney is a destroyer? This is how America takes over Canada. The security threat they're only furthering with China is actually insanity. Yeah, Emraz, I don't know. We will see. I'm kind of trying to be a little charitable to Carney, but I don't know. It is very irritating that the Liberals still keep winning. I think they will keep winning too, unfortunately.
To Canada, help us deploy that so we can deliver affordable green power to power the transition to net zero. Yes, we also talked about conventional energy. We talked about it in the context of they really like that we produce the lowest carbon intensity LNG in the world.
Oh, I don't believe that. Do you believe that? Is he talking about China?
Net zero. Yes, we also talked about conventional energy. We talked about it in the context of they really like that we produce the lowest carbon intensity LNG in the world. They are an investor in our first LNG project. They are going to be an investor in our second LNG.
I think that's China just playing Canada. They don't give a fuck. They like that we're low carbon. Are you kidding me? I don't believe that for 1 second. They might say that to you, but give me a break. Alberta has its own debt. A free independent Alberta would be preferred. But I just see it becoming part of the American Union. I mean, from an American perspective, if they actually got Alberta, that would be better, at least for the Republicans. Because if America actually did get Canada, Canada's so liberal. Did you check Moose Chart? I did that one day, but I haven't in a while. Basically saying it's all about money.
Project. And they are a major user of our conventional oil and gas.
Are you though, sir? Can you make clear? Are you welcoming or trying to get?
You guys will all have the chance to ask questions. Okay, let's.
See, like Melanie Jolie just falls apart. That wasn't even that contentious. She just snaps, sort of a snap.
Are you though, sir? Can you make clear? Are you welcoming or trying to get?
You guys will all have the chance to ask questions. Okay, let's. Yes, Ashley.
Considering lowering its tariff on Chinese EVs or welcoming more production in Ontario of Chinese EVs to try and get China to lower its tariffs? And do you see a breakthrough as being possible this visit?
So a couple of things. There's still negotiation happening, and of course the Prime Minister will be able to answer your question tomorrow. There's an important meeting tomorrow with President Xi regarding also how can we make sure that we do more Canada and China together. I think a lot of people in the auto sector right now, I'm thinking obviously of auto workers, have been preoccupied when hearing what is happening south of the border and the different comments regarding the capacity of Canada to continue to export cars across North America. And so that's why my team and I have been working on a new auto strategy, because our goal is to make sure that we favor auto production in Canada. We need to make sure that we continue to have a very strong auto sector. There's 125,000 people working in the sector with direct jobs. Indirect, it becomes 400,000 people involved in the auto sector. And at the same time, we're trying to attract a lot of investments from Korea, from Germany, and also we're looking at different partners around the world. And so these are ongoing conversations, and that's why we'll have more to say tomorrow.
Est-ce que vous envisagez de diminuer les tarifs douaniers sur les véhicules électriques chinois à 50%, comme le Mexique le fait?
Donc, on va continuer à avoir des conversations. Il y a encore des négociations.
On va continuer. You mean like Biden was the president, so no thanks, but Alberta becomes a strong partnership. You mean like Alberta's independent, but it has this agreement with America, something like that?
Qui ont lieu, l'important par la nouvelle position de l'administration américaine par rapport.
Countries, you welcomed investment in a number of areas, including energy. In 2012, the Canadian government shut the oil sands off to further investment from China. That was in 2012. Are you open to more investment from China in the oil sands now?
So today, China is a major investor in the oil sands, both as an operator and as a passive investor. They desire to have more of our energy. As long as they're a responsible producer, we're open to more investment from China.
Can I ask you to clarify that answer, please? The 2012 policy walled off new investment, and you say they're an active player today. Sure, because of previous investments. Are you open to changing the Investment Canada Act to bring in new, more Chinese investment?
That's a good question.
Look, they're already major investors. They have the opportunity to increase their production. If they, like anyone else, is going to invest in new operations, they would go through the Investment Canada Act. But let me be clear. We are here because we share a goal. We share a goal on getting to net zero. We believe we have lots of common interests with respect to how we use clean energy to get there, and we have common interests around how to get there on a conventional basis. And we're going to exploit that for the benefit of Canadian workers and for Canadians.
And I think just to add to that, it's important to remember that the Investment Canada Act was recently modified to increase powers of the government to make sure that we would have the guardrails important when it comes to national security and economic security. So there's no need to change the legislation. We have these powers, and we'll look at case by case. But as Tim was saying, we already have major investments in the sector.
So you don't view it as a national security issue. I guess what I'm trying to understand is how does this government view investment by China, including the state-owned companies that you met today, into that sector?
That's already the case. That decision has already been made in the past.
They operate today.
That was such a bad answer.
Yeah, that's it.
They have the opportunity to increase their production if they do it in a responsible way and want to add to that, and it complies with the Investment Canada Act. That creates jobs for Canadians. That's good for Canada.
And I think, oui, je vais répondre, Laurence, okay? Mais donne-moi 30 secondes. I think also what is important is we're following what's going on in the world. We're definitely following what's going on in Venezuela. And so we need to
I think net zero is a total scam, Emraz. It's such a grift.
make sure that we have good opportunities and good clients. And definitely that's been the case.
Alberta is more American. The pipes will, although I lived in Alberta, I mean, I lived in Calgary, but it didn't feel that conservative to me. It felt way more conservative than Toronto. But I don't know. It didn't feel like crazy American to me. I felt like it was almost kind of liberal. But maybe that's just downtown Calgary. So perhaps that's by like a skewed perspective. But I felt like people were kind of even walking around on eggshells in Calgary. I thought it would be a lot more bold and a lot more, like, for example, I think 2 years ago, I was saying Merry Christmas to people in downtown Calgary around Christmas, and people were like taken aback by it. Like they'd be like, oh, thanks. Like I didn't hear that many Merry Christmases back. I know that's obviously a city, right? So like I'm aware that in small towns things are different. Kind of pollutes, but that's okay. Because communism. Yeah, China is just, they don't care about the net zero stuff. If they did, they wouldn't pollute nearly as much as they do, obviously. Whatever happened to all the Chinese police stations all over the country? I haven't heard anything about that story in a while. We emit 1.4% of total global GHG emissions. Yeah, it's very low. Yet, we might care about it the most of any country in the world. Maybe a few European countries come close, but we're so obsessed with carbon, it's actually sick. If you watch Question Period in Canada, the amount of questions that are about climate change makes me want to like throw a shoe at my television. They're so unserious, these politicians, that you think you can just learn about climate change and you can be a politician. It's so pathetic.
Okay, est-ce que vous voulez exporter davantage de pétrole vers la Chine?
On le fait déjà.
Mais est-ce que vous voulez en exporter
60% de TMX est déjà acheté par la Chine.
Okay. Je pensais que c'était 30, mais en tout cas, ma question c'est, vous avez parlé de nouvelle ère dans la relation entre le Canada et la Chine. Il y a quelques années, vous avez publié la stratégie Indo-Pacifique et vous disiez que la Chine est une puissance de plus en plus perturbatrice. Est-ce que vous êtes d'accord avec ça?
Ben moi, je pense qu'il y a plein de perturbations partout à travers le monde présentement.
Est-ce que la Chine est toujours
qui sont bonnes dans l'intérêt du Canada. Ce qui était clair à l'époque dans la stratégie Indo-Pacifique, c'est qu'on allait avoir une approche pragmatique, ce qui est le cas présentement, et on allait s'assurer, certainement avec l'Asie, et aussi être très réactif par rapport aux...
Dale, are you, is that sarcasm? It's working well in Europe, I hope. If it's not, whatever, it's all good, let me know, but is that sarcasm? Because I don't think most people in Europe are thrilled with the way things are going in their countries based on, there's a lot of protests, there's very slow economic development. Canada's very similar economically right now to Europe, unfortunately, and demographics, because there's a lot of immigration in Europe, there's a lot of immigration in Canada, there's lots of immigration in USA too, but at least USA still has a growing economy for the most part. But is it working well? Because I don't think things in Europe. Oh, yes, sir. LOL. Okay, never mind. Yeah, that makes sense. Actors, not politicians. Totally. You know, there are more millionaires in Calgary than in the rest of Canada. That's interesting. That doesn't surprise me, but that's cool. I mean, maybe it does a little, but no. Alberta per capita is the richest country, richest province in Canada. Have you ever seen that March 2025 emissions in China, the world's top emitting country, is 1.53 billion tons. Yeah, China. I think it's China by a lot. Maybe India would be number 2. Their goal was communism for Canada. I've seen that kind of theory going around. I mean, Canada really has to shift its philosophy in lots of ways. There's so many people too, also in Canada, who are employed by the government, directly or indirectly. It's a very high percentage. So lots of people just have a natural incentive to not complain about how things are going because their income is tied to the basically socialist nature of the country. Us, US, India, Russia, Brazil. What was I going to go check out? I forget. I'll come back to this. Have you ever seen this chart that compares rank? I think this, what year is this? Yeah, I think this is the up-to-date one here. This chart. Can I zoom in on this thing? This is ranking. Some people in the chat have probably already seen this, but ranking GDP per capita. Just cuts off there because of the zoom, but GDP per capita in 2024. The picture cuts off, but whatever. But it compares U.S. states to Canadian provinces. Take a look at this. It's crazy. 20 years ago, Canada was pretty close economically to America. Now we're getting our lunch eaten. Alberta, the richest, at 20, which is a drop because I think it not too long ago was at 14. Saskatchewan at 25, which is great, but Saskatchewan's not that big of a province. And then all these other ones. Georgia, Hawaii. Then comes Newfoundland and Labrador, BC, Ontario. So Ontario's on the same level as Idaho and South Carolina. That's our biggest province by far. A lot of our population is right here, BC and Ontario. So among the worst U.S. states. What's Peter? What do you mean by what's the percentage? Was it something else I was talking about, or this? And then yeah, Idaho, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Alabama, West Virginia, Mississippi. And we got a bunch of the Canadian provinces right at the bottom. Quebec, Manitoba, PEI, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Isn't that incredible? And Canada has all this arrogance when it speaks to America. Not Canada, but a lot of Canadian officials. No more equalization payments. Yeah, I agree. Alberta will toss out the Liberal Party and NDP, and no government workers are allowed from the east. Now Alberta will get its own ICE. That would be. I mean, I'd be in favor of getting rid of illegal immigrants. I don't know how many illegal immigrants really, though, are in Canada. I think it's a lot of just stupid immigration policy. I think most of it by far is legal immigration that was done so recklessly.
Ce qui se passe aux États-Unis. En 2026, on va être stratégique.
To this because China spies on journalists and businessmen. We're who are gun shy as we've spoken to.
Et on va être proactif.
Can I just ask a general question about investing in China? There's a ton of experts we've spoken to in the business community in Canada who are gun shy about investing in China. Joint ventures aren't such. It's China win. It's not win-win. We're using burner phones for the first time when we covered this because China spies on journalists and businessmen. China intercepts communications. Is China really the right kind of partner for Canadian industry?
Listen,
That's a great question. That is a great question.
Been clear-eyed. We're eyes wide open. We know this. But there's been investments by Canadian companies for years here. Tomorrow I'm meeting with Magna. Magna, one of the biggest car auto parts companies in the world. They have 30,000 people working here. We're meeting with Manulife. We're meeting with BMO. These companies have been in China for years. Now, obviously, we're having these conversations with the Chinese government. If they're going to invest in our country, they need to make sure that our companies are able to invest and have access to stability and have access to a form of certainty. And so that's what we're working on. When we engage with China and we engage with businesses like Tim and I have been doing, we put everything on the table to address these risks. And that's why this visit is so important, and it's been a focus of the Prime Minister.
Minister, what was the purpose of your meeting with CATL today? Do you want to see them more involved in the EV supply chain in Canada, or what was your discussion with that company today?
So, Tim,
what do you think in the chat? Is this a good move for Canada to be interested in working more with China? Do they have to do it? Howdy from Oklahoma. I vote blue. Hello. Sing Luna. Do you mean Democrat? I'm assuming because you're in Oklahoma. Because in Canada, they're flipped. Blue in Canada is conservative and red is liberal. The colors, at least, they're flipped. Getting rid of migrants that got citizenship in the past 10 years will be Alberta Independent's ICE responsibility. That's a tough one, though. Is that kind of the position of that Dominion Society? They talk about like remigration. I don't know, man. That's like, I don't think that's very fair to the people that came here, for sure. I just think the politicians made such an insane error, Trudeau specifically, by having this ridiculous immigration policy that is not good for anybody. Maybe it's good for like the CEO of Tim Hortons. Chinata's insane. Hello, Sing Luna. Yes, I detest Trump. What about for Canadian politics? Do you have a point of view there?
Can talk obviously about energy storage, so maybe you want to do that, and then
so CATL is involved in 3 grid storage projects already today in Canada, in Ontario. They have some of the world's very best grid storage solutions that turns intermittent renewable energy into baseload energy. That's really important on an affordable way to get to net zero. They are deploying that technology all around the world. They're deploying it in the United States. They're deploying it in the UK. They're deploying it in France. If we can use that technology to help us get to net zero in a more affordable way, that's good for Canada.
And if I may add, if I may add also, CATL is invested in the U.S. So they've been also building battery storage plants for basically data centers. And they've had also a partnership with Ford Motors in the U.S.
Katy Perry seems to like Trudeau. Yeah, that's true. Maybe I'll take a look at that. Has anything happened lately on that front? I mean, I really never follow drama like that. But when I was in the grocery store lately, all those tabloid magazines at the front that used to be way more popular, I think they were all focused on the Trudeau-Katy Perry relationship. And yes, Sing Luna, if you're still here, I'm more right-wing for sure than left-wing, but kind of case by case, I guess. Most of the stuff we buy is made in China. Let's open the door. Most of the stuff we buy in is made in China. Let's open the door. throw them a check and a plane ticket if they can't pass an independent Alberta verification vetting. Need to know who these people are, and if they used invalid asylum claims, they're gone. I mean, if they used invalid claims, then yes. But it's just tough. Like, I really just think Canada's immigration policy in the last 10 years, and then like COVID. And during COVID, we locked everything down in such an illogical way. And I think the government and the politicians use that as an excuse to, in the next few years, ramp up immigration to absurd levels to try to help our economy, which didn't happen. Our economy's still flat. Then we just have this crazy population boom. And again, I can't believe the same political party won. I think that's actually ultimately a indictment on the Conservative Party of Canada. That they couldn't win in that political environment is actually embarrassing. And again, I'm more of a person who would like conservative politics, but I honestly view that as more of an indictment on the CPC than even a political success by the Liberals, which they did strategically do that quite well. They switched to Carney. They really leaned into the elbows up crap, which is very cringe, but it worked. So politically, I mean, I would do it too, to be honest. If I you got to win. People that win elections get to legislate. So that's, I think, the cold hard truth. I don't even blame. Yeah, it was that tool, Jenny Burns. But I Emraz, I actually think it's Poilievre too. I think it's got you gotta be Poilievre is the leader. So I hear you, but I love Mark Carney. You'll have done what you can do to y'all have done what you can to go around America. Okay, so that's what helps shut us out. I hope to be friends again soon. Yeah, I'm a little more right wing than that, but that's what that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for your perspective. Americans definitely like Canadians, though. When you go to America and you say you're from Canada, the majority of the average American loves it. The average Canadian, I would say, which is a nice feeling when you're in America. Even traveling, that's the biggest benefit, which is stupid for a Canadian right now, is internationally, everyone loves us. So if you're traveling, you tell people you're from Canada, they're almost immediately your friend. But I think Canada puts way too much emphasis on that, being liked, you know what I mean? As opposed to just being effective. The Liberals just needed to get an adult leader that has brains and knows economics. Sorry, was AFK for a bit, had to shovel the driveway, had almost 2 feet of snow. Wow. No worries, just pop in and out. But yeah, that's incredible. 2 feet of snow, wow. I haven't shoveled in a long time. I've lived in an apartment for quite some time. Yeah, but I think trust his team, and he messed up with her, yeah. I consider myself a conservative Democrat. Cool. I voted Republican. Trump is out of line. If you want a Trump in your country, you're crazy. My ancestors immigrated here from Quebec. That's cool. Do you speak French? La langue française?
And so these are exploratory discussions, but we are willing to see what is feasible. Of course, we already have 2 battery plants in Canada, which are really important. The one in Windsor, which is Nexstar, which is a joint venture between LG and Stellantis, and another one also in St. Thomas that is being built as we speak, which is obviously from Volkswagen. So we're open for business when it comes to batteries.
So it's more about that side of CATL's business, the plant storage, as opposed to the EV battery making storage.
We can look at both, and so we've been able to attract investments from Germany and from Korea, and so with important guardrails, and of course we're looking at to see what could be done as well.
The government wants to export
Last question, please.
The government wants to export more petroleum and LNG to China, our markets here. Did you get any firm commitments of that yet this visit?
what we heard loud and clear is China is looking for reliable trading partners that don't use energy for coercion. China is already a major consumer of Canadian energy, like we heard when I was in the UK, like we heard when I was in Germany, like my colleagues have already heard in Japan and Korea. The world wants more of what Canada has. Canada has the lowest carbon intensity LNG in the world, and we are decarbonizing our barrels and more aggressively looking to decarbonize our barrels than any other country in the world. That's consistent with the values of many of our trading partners, including the Chinese.
Is it? I can't believe he can say that. I don't believe you.
Intensity LNG in the world, and we are decarbonizing our barrels and more aggressively looking to decarbonize our barrels than any other country in the world. That's consistent with the values of many of our trading partners, including the Chinese. They want more of what we've got.
Would they be eligible for Canadian tax credits, clean energy tax credits, Chinese companies?
A buyer.
Why aren't the reporters following up on that statement? Like, I don't disagree. I don't doubt that China doesn't say that in meetings. It's easy to say that. You might as well try to get the goodwill on that if some people value that, but I don't believe them.
Credits, Chinese companies?
A buyer of, an off-taker of energy doesn't get an ITC. It's the people who build the plants that get the ITCs.
Did they say that they were going to buy more of Canadian oil? Did they say we want to buy more Canadian oil? Did they say
they are very clear they would like more Canadian energy products, yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
But yeah, Random Reynolds, I don't know if by the way, I said this earlier, I'm trying to, I think next stream, hopefully I'll have it up where I can click on one of these chats and it'll become like a sort of on the screen thing. But for now, whatever. That's why Venezuela oil, I'm not sure how much people actually care about net zero. I think they say they care, but I think most people, like in most industries, everyone basically just wants to make money. I think that's been even proven true with like the woke LGBT stuff. I think all these companies, they said they cared. And then now when it's not in vogue as much, they just all kind of dumped a lot of that stuff. But I don't think a lot of companies actually care about how clean the barrel is. Again, they might say they do, but that'd be my point of view anyway. Let's go check out on Katy Perry and Trudeau. If anyone has any suggestions for videos, though, in the chat, let me know. Is it Mike? Dave gave a good suggestion. That was Dave's suggestion, actually. The video we just watched. The Lib government, bad for business, national security. They're not stupid. They are evil. They know how this China partnership ends. Yeah, I don't know. They're worried about that. I don't know. It's fascinating to follow just what Canada is going to do, because it kind of has to make a choice between America and China a little bit. I think it's smarter to just kind of deal with both of them in the meantime and just kind of see what happens and try to get the best deal. And really, like in the most Canadian way possible, just try not to offend anybody, because we're obviously not as powerful as China or Canada. But I think that's what they should do in the short term. I know people are afraid of getting too heavily involved with China, which I think is a legitimate concern. But yeah, I've said this before. I think the biggest problem Canada has, though, is our domestic policy, just getting things back on track that way. Yeah, this is from The View. This is just a stupid little video. Katy Perry, Justin Trudeau, romance confirmed? Question mark.
I am so glad to clear this up, because I've been very confused, because when they explained this story to me...
Yeah, Trump doesn't care about the net zero crap. Trump will have no... I don't personally believe China cares either, for sure. Like I'd have to see them drastically change their philosophy to believe that.
So I am so glad to clear this up because I've been very confused because when they explained this story to me, I thought they said a different Katie. So when I saw it here, I'm going to read it as it was supposed to be read. Katy Perry and former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were just photographed in a romantic moment aboard Katie's yacht. I'd rather talk about the fact that Katy Perry has her own yacht, okay?
Yeah.
Just a few months after her split up from Orlando Bloom. Some of her fans are worried it's too soon. Look, she's happy. You be happy for her, too.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a totally different Katie. And
What Katie did you think it was?
I'll tell you in the break because I don't want to start a rumor.
Rumors, yeah.
But I because they said, and there's an age difference, and I'm thinking,
Man, this is what Trudeau should have been doing the whole time. Should have just been like a tabloid celebrity like this. He'd be better at that than the actual leader of a country. I'm probably gonna finish with this video, but troop deployment, a political signal of support for Denmark, Greenland, former Swedish PM. Denmark and some of its European allies have deployed a small number of troops to Greenland. This is a recent video, just posted 19 minutes ago.
Well, the future of Greenland remains uncertain. A high-stakes meeting in Washington yesterday didn't produce any firm agreements. And U.S. President Donald Trump is still stating that Greenland must be under American control. And he has repeatedly claimed the U.S. needs the island for security. On the ground in Greenland, we've been seeing European nations boost security there. So those are troops from Denmark arriving in Greenland's capital, Nuuk. France says it also has troops on the ground there. The Netherlands will also join NATO allies. That includes Sweden, Germany, Finland, and Norway in a Danish-led military exercise in the Arctic territory. So for more on all of this, we've reached former Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sweden, Mr. Carl Bildt. Currently, he's co-chair of the European Council on Foreign Relations, and he joins us now from Stockholm. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you.
I do want to begin with that latest news that there are so many European countries, including Sweden, that are sending troops to Greenland in a show of support for Denmark, for Greenland. What message might that send to the United States, this escalation or buildup?
Well, I wouldn't really call them troops. It's more a question of staff officers that are there in order to make plans and preparations for bigger exercises that are going to come further down the line in the Arctic environment. So you can see it either as something that is routine, or you can see it as a political signal of support for Denmark. And I would prefer to see it as a political signal of support for Denmark and Greenland.
And how do you think that is being received by the U.S. president, who, even though that started yesterday during the course of the meeting that was being held with U.S. representatives and representatives from Denmark and Greenland, remarks coming out of that meeting were still constant and consistent?
Yeah, Reynolds, that's actually kind of funny. If this whole thing was just for Trump to get NATO to take Greenland seriously, I don't know. We know Trump doesn't care. You already dropped out of the UN Climate Accord, for sure. Like the Paris thing. Trump is a businessman. How can't the liberals make a deal because they are garbage? I don't think I don't think that trade deal is going to... It doesn't seem like there's any progress happening on that, for sure. China is just making the energy deal to get spying. I mean, they definitely spy, so that's certainly a possibility. Trump is, Carney is kissing ass, I think. Carney. Russia and China are a security threat in the Arctic. They have been speaking like that. There's a very recent clip I saw from some Chinese official talking about having more activity in the Arctic.
With what we've heard from Trump, that he continues to say he needs Greenland, despite that political message that may be sent in terms of this training.
Well, I hope that he understands this as a message of very strong determination by European nations to support Denmark, the territorial integrity of Denmark, and the self-determination of the Greenland people. This is their future to decide. And they have expressed very clearly, the Prime Minister of Greenland, that he sees for the time being and the foreseeable future, the future of Greenland within the Kingdom of Denmark, within NATO, and in close cooperation with the European Union. If Trump thinks that he can change that, we can try, but I'm not quite certain how he can do it.
So to that end, how are countries that are deploying personnel, for example, right now, how are they preparing? Because we all know, based on the past year, that this U.S. president can...
What is Five Eyes random? Is that like a... I don't even know what that is. Canadian participation. I probably do know more about American politics than Canadian politics, to be honest. Five Eyes in Canada refers to Canada's participation in an intelligence sharing alliance with 4 other English-speaking countries. Canada, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Wow, cool. It used to have Russia. No, Russia was never a part. Oh, never. Maybe they were a part of it somehow. Very cool. CTV NES. BC teachers contract. Don't care about that. Don't care. BC ends drug decriminalization. Pilot, I don't want to watch that video, but that's actually a good thing. BC ends drug decriminalization pilot. Even David Eby, the NDP leader of BC, has said that his policies on drugs in BC were wrong. Businessman identified, another extortion shooting. Busy start for PM. Moose Jaw Mayor. McDonald's meal deals. Actually gonna watch this.
With more than 60% of Canadians struggling with the rising cost of living, according to a 2025 financial stress index, a well-known fast food chain is making a clear promise to Canadians with a price freeze on certain...
Is anyone, by the way, going on vacation this winter anywhere? Any trips to Mexico or something like that? Last year, I went to Mexico twice, but this year I don't think I'll be going unless... I mean, I doubt it. We'll see. But last year I went twice. It was fun. I liked Puerto Vallarta more. The second time I went to Playa del Carmen and Tulum, and it was fine, but I like Puerto Vallarta I found was very fun. For like a vacation. I don't know if it'd be fun to stay there long term. Maybe, though. But for a vacation, the beach was amazing.
Menu items. With more than 60% of Canadians struggling with the rising cost of living, according to a 2025 financial stress index, a well-known fast food chain is making a clear promise to Canadians with a price freeze on certain menu items. Joining us this morning to discuss is McDonald's Canada's Field Vice President, Carrie Cabral. Good morning to you, Carrie.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. If I didn't know who you...
Love McDonald's. I don't actually eat it that much, but I like McDonald's. Like I have McDonald's coffee every day. That's what this is. Oh, I'm not even on the screen. Just in here. But I love McDonald's. Yes, my wife and I are going to Punta Cana. Nice. We usually go to Myrtle Beach, but year 2 of boycott. Myrtle Beach. Punta Cana, I've never been there, but it looks amazing. Are you staying in an all-inclusive? Netanyahu said Israel is the second eye, and that cyber is a real domain of power. Russia is in bed with China and Israel. America needs to shore up its security. Yeah, I think America, though, would have the best security in the world. I think. Israel is the second eye, and that cyber. I mean, the Israel, like that Mossad, has incredible capabilities, too. Yes, all inclusive. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm jealous. That'll be sick. Whoops.
You were, I'd be able to smell
Yes.
what we were talking about.
You can smell me coming. Yes, exactly.
Well, Gary, talk us through this price freeze initiative from McDonald's Canada.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I'm excited to share that this week across all of our restaurants in Canada, we've released our McValue meals. They're $5 plus tax. And they
Do you guys like McDonald's? I like McDonald's. I think it's one of the best.
a variety of offers between breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they complement our existing $1 small coffee promotion that we released back in July of 2024. But I think what's important is that along with our franchisees, we are committing to locking in those prices for the remainder of 2026. And it's our hope that this will provide Canadians, value that they can depend on.
Absolutely. So what prompted the price freeze on McValue meals and coffee?
Great question. Value has always been part of our DNA at McDonald's. This company has been founded on delivering great quality food conveniently and at a price we hope our customers can enjoy more often. I started back in our restaurants when I was 15. Certainly value was important to our customers then, but it was really important to my family back then as well as we made our dining decisions. And as I talk to customers in our restaurants or crew in our crew rooms, there's no doubt that they're struggling with affordability challenges.
Man, the thing is, though, I like McDonald's, but if you don't have some discipline when you order from there, nothing on screen there would have really any nutritional value.
Their lives too. So our hope by locking in our prices on these items for the remainder of 2026 is that Canadians can choose us and depend on us for value.
Absolutely. So what menu items are...
I was a crew trainer at McDick's back in the day. Oh, cool. I used to eat it all the time since I would get 50% off. That's sick. Yeah. I remember, I think my old soccer coach or something worked at McDonald's and we would get 50% off. US only has the best security. Because of alliances, US alone, debatable. I don't know, like the actual security firms and stuff in USA, but I don't know. I don't know how, like CIA. I know there are a lot of successful military tech companies recently in America. America has an unmatched military. Yeah, militarily, I would have a conviction in saying USA is number one. But they have to take out the trash. The Russian spies from the Cold War, aka Mossad. Wayne Gretzky loves his McDonald's. I don't get that. I don't get the Wayne Gretzky. Is Wayne Gretzky fat? I don't think so. USA has the best security. Now they're cheap workers, only get a discount when working, only at their store. Now they're cheap. Oh, really? Yeah. Plus, the prices of all these fast food places have gone up a lot.
Are included in the $5 McValue meal commitment?
There's a lot of variety. There's 7 McValue meals, and they stretch across breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Certainly for
Trump too. Well, for McDonald's, Trump loves McDonald's. Yeah, Trump loves McDonald's. The thing is, I bet you all this McValue stuff, but coffee obviously is not bad, but I don't think the McValue menu will have any item that's not just awful for you. Maybe there's like a wrap on there, but I don't know. It's actually so hard to eat healthy. If you don't try to eat healthy, most of the food in like a Western country is a bunch of garbage. I was in not this year anymore, but in 2025, I was in Bali in Thailand, and it's way easier to eat healthy there. There's just way more options that are healthy and pretty inexpensive. In Canada, you have to actually kind of go out of your way to try to eat healthy, I think.
Meeting is very important, including that face-to-face with Xi Jinping. Tomorrow, the stakes high as can be. So what does this mean for Canada's?
Yeah, I do the wraps. Yeah, the wraps at McDonald's are good. Seen him at McD's working there. Yeah, I saw him too. That was the best clip, man. Trump is the best at stuff like that. Like when he stopped at McDonald's, gets so much attention on social media. That'll be hard for the next Republican whoever runs next, like Trump's going to have a big shadow on campaigning ability and just ability to drive media headlines. I think it'll be hard for Vance or Rubio or whoever to kind of exist after Trump, because nobody can do that, those campaign tricks like him. Hard to feel guilty about eating McDonald's because, like most fast food, because Gretzky was winning cups and eating McDonald's. Really? That's cool. I know Gretzky famously liked hot dogs. I've definitely heard that, but I haven't heard paper straws at Mickey D's. Paper straws. Are they really still paper? That sucks. I like the paper straws. That clip of Trump too, talking about the plastic paper straws. Bali and Thailand were awesome. They're amazing. I will definitely go back at some point. Yeah, they're both. I definitely want to go back to, well, both, but I definitely want to go back to Bali. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, Trump is unique that way for sure.
Broad's trade strategy. Well, Gil Land is an associate professor at the Toronto Metropolitan University, and he joins us now. Professor, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having on.
It's a difficult line that...
Yeah, paper here, Toronto, Ontario. I don't think I've had a paper straw in a while, to be honest. I was in Alberta. I'm in Saskatchewan now. Maybe I just haven't used a straw in a while, but I haven't used a paper straw for quite some time. But I was in Ontario, and yes, paper straws are ridiculous. They don't work. They feel so gross. It feels like you're eating cardboard.
The Prime Minister is walking right now, isn't it?
Very, very difficult. Many different things to balance, especially as mentioned before on your show about the different interests of the different provinces involved.
And how can he do it? Do you think? Is it? I mean, he wants to bring in new business. Great. He wants to appease the provinces, all of them, if he can. And then he's got Donald Trump to the south of him that he.
Carney ended that plastic ban. That's good. I know Daniel Smith was trying to in Alberta.
I don't know if you want to appease or if you can appease, but you have to deal with him.
Well, I think there's a couple of points. This is an opportune time for the Prime Minister. With respect to the electric vehicles, which is first and foremost upon the Chinese government's mind, the European Union has actually set an example for us. The European Union has also imposed tariffs against Chinese electric vehicles, not as high as Canada. They did a proper subsidy investigation. And they just recently, a couple of days ago, came into informal agreement where if the Chinese manufacturers would propose a minimum price, which would offset any perceived subsidy, that perhaps if those vehicles could go into the EU without a tariff. Canada imposed tariffs at 100% without much of an investigation, presumably following the United States. So there is a mid-path that Prime Minister Carney could follow, just simply follow the EU, reduce those tariffs to whatever subsidy level Canada thinks it is, and then see whether or not it can just do the same thing that the EU.
We already kind of covered this. I'm going to go plastics. Oh, real? Wow, I didn't even hear about this. This was only 10 days ago. Carney calls out Poilievre. Mark Carney calls out Poilievre for wanting to bring back plastic straws. What the fuck?
I mean, Pierre is literally grasping at straws. He's going to bring back plastic straws. Finally, the kind of boldness that this country needs in times of crisis. We're going to have those straws back, thank God. And when the Americans come over the border, we can poke them with them. Because the paper one, they sort of fold the paper ones. So just be better. Pierre Poilievre seems to believe.
That was not very funny. And plus, the plastic straws actually are good.
That the only way to defend ourselves is to leave every Canadian to fend for themselves. He seems to believe that we should.
That was during the campaign. Poilievre should have responded.
Another domino.
But apparently, Carney got rid of the single-use plastic ban.
Another domino has fallen in former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's failed climate change agenda. Quietly, just before Christmas, Prime Minister Mark Carney decided to end the planned export ban on single-use plastics. Single-use plastics have been banned domestically since 2023, and they were set to be banned as exports beginning December 20th, 2025. Thankfully, the Carney government saw the light and decided not to move forward with it. The reason the government decided not to move forward with the ban is simple. The government said that the economic damage it would cause Canada's single-use plastics industry simply didn't make sense, because companies in other countries would simply manufacture these goods and export them to displace Canadian goods. So essentially, the government argued that just because Canada stopped producing doesn't mean that some other country and companies in other countries wouldn't fill the void. Now let's hope that the government actually uses this logic and follows this logic in other areas. For example, when Justin Trudeau was still Prime Minister, the leaders of Germany and Japan came to Canada and said they wanted Canada to produce more liquefied natural gas to displace countries like Russia. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at the time said that there was no business case for doing so. The same thing has been done with Canada's oil industry. The Trudeau government passed law after law trying to prevent new pipelines from being built so that we could export more Canadian oil abroad. And the rationale that the Liberals have used, these radical climate change activists in the Liberal Party have used, is simply to say, if we don't build it, it will stay in the ground. But the reality is, to use the government's same logic on the plastics export issue, if we don't do it, someone else will. There is global demand, and if we don't produce our oil, if we don't produce our...
Yeah. I didn't even hear about this, actually. Who said that? Was that Emraz? That Carney got rid of this? Oh, Random Reynolds. Wow, yeah, I didn't even hear about this. I feel like of all the people, I might be the least tuned in to Canadian news of everyone here. Carney is such a disgrace. He was warned 8 months ago by Daniel Smith that if he didn't work with Alberta, that he would have a huge national divide. Man, there's a lot of divide. Like I'm gonna go to the washroom, but I'm gonna play. And I'll get this because actually, I'm going to go look at it from this point of view. Back. Because there's two pretty major independence movements looming. And one is and they're like two huge provinces too. It's not just little provinces, Quebec and Alberta. Because Legault is gone. I don't understand Quebec politics that well at all, but I've heard that a lot of the separatist parties there are getting attention and gaining approval rating. I saw one here about Legault resigns, Quebec independent. Francois Legault.
Good evening. Just a few weeks ago, Francois Legault was adamant. He said he was staying on as premier and he would lead his party into the next general election. Well, that was December. Well, today, a political bombshell in a hastily called news conference this morning, Francois Legault announced his resignation. Angela, it caught a lot of people by surprise.
Well, Mitsumi, few, if any, were expecting this to happen today. Legault did not take any questions from reporters, but as you'll hear, he says he's doing it for the good of Quebec.
With his wife Isabelle by his side, Francois Legault says his decision is for the good of the party and Quebec.
J'annonce aujourd'hui que je vais quitter mon poste de Premier ministre du Québec.
He's stepping down as premier, saying he knows Quebecers want a new leader. Just a few weeks ago, Legault insisted he'd remain in office.
Do they want to have Pablo?
Yeah, check this out. This is from Reuters. Quebec premier quitting ahead of election that separatist looks set to win. Currently most popular provincial polls, PQ. And this is CAC. I'm pretty sure is Legault's party. Low teens. Conservative Party, mid-teens, so just brutal. PQ. Is the party Québécois separatist? Yes. PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. Jeez. That's incredible. Yeah, you got two major provinces with pretty significant like separatist momentum, and Saskatchewan. 3 provinces are I don't know if is the Saskatchewan separatist movement. I haven't heard much of it in Saskatchewan, to be honest, but I've heard a lot of it in Alberta and Quebec. Maybe not a lot in Quebec, but I've heard about it. I just don't follow that province very much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard much of the Saskatchewan one. Oh, this is kind of crazy. Holy crap. That's actually... Oh, that's just of Saskatchewan Party voters. Never mind. About 20 to 30% of people say they might vote for separation in a hypothetical referendum. I almost think Saskatchewan is just too small of a province to for this to even be viable at all. Then just be a country of 1 million? I guess Alberta and Sask could join. I'll read some of these chats. I'm just going to use the washroom. Is this always live? I don't think they're live right now.
Legault has been Premier of Quebec since 2018. He's one of Canada's longest serving premiers, but he has become increasingly unpopular over the past few years for a lot of different reasons. He had problems with negotiating with doctors in the province over compensation. And then there was sort of a ham-fisted rollout of an upgraded online version of the provincial auto insurance program. He's had cabinet ministers leaving him, caucus defections. It has not gone well. It's a little bit like sort of the final days that we saw in 2024 leading into early 2025 of Justin Trudeau. Extremely unpopular in the polls and heading towards what will very likely be a massive defeat for Legault's party, the CAQ, the Coalition Avenue de Quebec, basically Coalition for Quebec's Future. Now running in the polls somewhere around between 10 and 20%. Very unlikely to be reelected, possibly completely obliterated in the next election, which is scheduled at the latest for the beginning of October this year. Now the CAQ is going to have to find a new leader, and they are, as well as the Liberal Party, of course, is also the Liberal Party of Quebec is also looking for a new leader because of the resignation of former federal cabinet minister Pablo Rodriguez. So really a lot of turmoil in Quebec right now. But here is the main important point that people across the country should be paying attention to. It's really right now the Parti Québécois that is way out ahead in the polls in Quebec, and they are, like every Parti Québécois before them, saying at least that they intend to have sometime in their first term, that is if they win a majority mandate and stay in power for 4 years, that they will have at least get the wheels rolling towards a referendum on Quebec separatism again. That would be the third one after 1995 and 1980. So that's something that is going to be, the federal government is going to have to deal with. They're going to have to face the possibility of a separatism and a unity crisis, not just in Quebec, but also concurrently in Alberta, because we know there are attempts to get a referendum, a ballot on the referendum on the ballot on Alberta separation, all happening at the time that Donald Trump is talking about making our country the 51st state. So the timing is not perfect. Now, Legault announcing his departure today, saying he's doing it for the good of his party and for the good of Quebec. We will see in coming days, Faiza, how the party puts together a leadership race, who is going to take over the party in the interim. They will likely appoint a leader for them in the National Assembly. but then they'll have to have a full-on leadership race, probably concurrent with the Liberal Party of Quebec's leadership race. Interesting times in Quebec politics, Faisal.
Hi there and welcome to Power Play. I'm Vashi Kapelos in Ottawa on this Wednesday. Tonight, Quebec's premier quits.
Many Quebecers are...
Hello. People want to separate. I have no idea how that even works. Your resource belong to Canada, not Sask, Alb, or Quebec. Check out all the lines. Alberta. Yeah, I've seen those lines. I'll check it out, sure. Oh, this is a newer one. Hundreds line up in Red Deer.
Hundreds of people.
Once you separate, there's no going back. You got to make sure you know what the plan is for your new country. LOL. Currency, economy, alliance, security. You start off as a third world country. The Sask Prosperity Project is legit. Not sure when they're taking signatures. Red Deer had voting last night. Yeah, right here, I guess. Going for over 6 hours in the line around the block. Wow. 20 to 30, LOL, that's nothing. Quebec will crawl back 3 months. I love how people think separating is going to change anything, going to make it worse for them. Intel's chips core coded Israel. I didn't know that. Coalition Avenir, Quebec. Actually, it was Conservatives that struck down the pipeline back in Trudeau's days. Really? Arnie, such a disgrace. Yeah, actually, it was Conservatives that struck down the pipe. I mean, I don't know. The Conservatives for quite some time have been a weak party in Canada. That I don't even really understand what the point of them is, because they just sound like liberals to me. That's kind of changing lately, but I thought about this the other day. In America, if you're Republican, you're pro-life, meaning you're generally against abortion, with some exceptions. Like Trump believes in the exceptions, like the life of the mother, rape and incest, I think. Then you're pro-gun, you're pro-Second Amendment, you're pretty, for the most part, pro-Christianity. But a lot of the right-wing things that are emblematic of Republicans in America, those just don't exist in Canada. And then another one would be, if the right wing is generally pro-private health insurance, so no single-payer health insurance. Those are sort of all issues that in Canada are kind of off the board. Like if a right-wing politician in Canada said, even one of those things, I want private health insurance instead of single-payer public insurance. I want to be pro-life instead of having legal abortions, or I want to be pro-Second Amendment. It's incredible how much more right-wing Republicans are in America than Canadian conservatives. Because those issues in Canada are almost off the board. I would say the CBC crowd would consider you a radical extremist if you believed any one of those Republican American issues that a huge part of the Republican Party agrees with.
Hundreds of people waiting out in the cold to sign a petition that is seeking a referendum on Alberta separating from Canada.
Your industry is garbage, and if you try to complain, we're going to call you a bunch of hicks and rednecks. Would any Albertan seriously take that offer? And so, you know what? We got the chance for freedom, and I'm going to support freedom.
Feelings of frustration towards Ottawa, one of the reasons why people turning out to Wednesday's petition signing.
The problem in Alberta that we have is all the oil's in Alberta and all the dipsticks are out east.
The signing in Red Deer organized by Stay Free Alberta, who is collecting signatures.
That's actually pretty funny. I've never heard that before.
The problem in Alberta that we have is all the oil's in Alberta and all the dipsticks are out east.
The signing in Red Deer organized by Stay Free Alberta, who is collecting signatures in support of Alberta.
The Liberals, I mean, we all fund the CBC, literally all of us. I checked that the other day. It's like $30 to $35 every taxpayer a year pays for the CBC. Once the green commie restrictions are gone and the immigrants are deported, Alberta's open for business. The resource under the ground in our borders. I have been around Alberta. None of them are true. Canada's credit is leaving. It's not personal, it's just business. Canada's credit card is leaving. Man, it would be quite incredible. I still think this independence movement has a long way to go, but I mean, there are obviously a lot of people that are enthusiastic to sign these petitions.
Prosperity Project head Mitch Sylvester's petition. For petition supporter Brandy Bowman, she believes separating would mean better economic conditions in Alberta.
I have children at home. I have a 20-year-old daughter who lives in my basement and cannot find a job beyond, a measly minimum wage job, no matter what schooling you have.
She and other supporters believe even if the Conservatives were to gain power federally, that wouldn't help.
I think because a lot of stuff still wouldn't actually change. We're tired of the equalization payments.
Canada's going downhill fast. Like, they're going to be bankrupt.
A dueling petition that seeks to have Alberta remain in Canada has already collected the necessary signatures, with over 400,000 people signing on.
Holy.
The necessary signatures.
Going to be bankrupt.
A dueling petition that seeks to have Alberta remain in Canada has already collected the necessary signatures, with over 400,000 people signing on.
That's like a pro-stay petition. This leave petition, though, I'm sure it is going to get the amount of signatures they need. That seems to be the trend.
For the pro-separation petition to succeed, 177,732 signatures are needed by May 2nd.
In the long run, it's going to benefit.
I think they'll easily get that.
A lot of people. It'd be nice to really see the worth of this province come back to this province.
In Red Deer, Edward Jan, City News.
I like it. I like the disagreement in the chat. It's good. I'd like to eventually probably on this channel debate people. That'd be fun. I gotta get the I'll work on that a little bit. I don't know if anyone in the chat would like to actually come on stream and talk. I'm not saying right now because I don't have the back end of that set up. I don't think that'll be that hard to do. But I think that'd be fun to debate people. I'm not even saying I would be like a great debater, but it'd be fun. They will be paying Aboriginal settlements and resource buyout forever. Save yourself. What is the worth of the province? It doesn't own its own resources. The budget won't balance itself. That's fun. No, but I like the disagreement. It's all good. I like it. Canada is top global credit rating. Okay, I'm gonna go to do this. This will be kind of fun, I think. I don't know if anyone still plays this, but okay. Someone give me an opening. I'll go back to news. Well, I got to go in a little. I'll probably only stream for like another 20 minutes, but someone give me a word. We'll play Wordle here quick. Alberta wants to balance it, but Carney won't play ball. China should not be considered a legitimate trading partner. Carney Marx needs to read The Art of the Deal. I wonder what Trump's point of view is right now on what is happening. Why are men not approaching? It's just any subject. It's just Wordle. I think it's just any 5-letter word. But baloney, I don't know if that's what the word of the day, because Carney is baloney, but it has to be 5 letters. Could be meats. Pride, sure, we'll do pride. ER. We'll be very woke. Oh my gosh. We got nothing. Let's try this. Thank. Okay, skies. I should have put. I missed it. I just put this one in. What do you think? I think we're probably pretty close to getting it already. Could be SHA something, or it could be like W. Toast because Canada's toast. Chats. Oh yeah, it could be. Well, but we already used the T. I could put it in there, but we already used T. SHA. Let's try. Oh, that. Geez, there's a lot of letters we already used. Shall. I mean, that's not a very good word, but. Shack. Shaggy. I'll try shaggy. I think that's a word. Not a word, damn it. Shack. I mean, I could do shack, but there's already a K. Shaft. This doesn't have to be S too. It could be. Why is this so slow? I can't. Doing brutal here. Shav. Shawl. I'll try shawl. Whatever is that? Is that even a? Is that a word? Nice. Yeah, well, there's an S somewhere, so maybe we'll go CHA. And there's an S in here somewhere. CHA. Could it be anything other than that? It could be M8. No, not M. B. Probably it's probably C. CHA. Is that a word? Shams? Yeah, I clicked it. Apparently that's a word. Oh, it's chasm. Damn it. That's actually a tough word, though. That's a pretty uncommon word. Oh, yeah, I should have said that before. I thought maybe everyone would have played Wordle. That means like the green is it's the letter and it's in the same position. Yellow means the word, the letter's in the word, but it's not in the right position. I should have said that. That's my bad. Split because Alberta is going to split. Okay, I won't be live for very much longer, but any suggestions? Yeah, that was a tough one.
It's like
that was just an uncommon word. Asm. Any suggestions on videos? Because maybe we'll see what Jasmine Lane was saying. She hasn't even posted today yet. Elevate, we already covered. Pleb. I don't think Pleb really makes videos anymore. He almost just is like an X guy. He makes videos, but they're pretty sporadic. I don't see much from Pleb here. We'll go to
The relationship between our countries.
Hey, there's
after
Scott
all,
Moe. That's the premier of Saskatchewan right beside him.
After all, the relationship between our countries is historic, it's complementary, and it's deeply personal for so many Canadians. C'est une relation.
What does that mean? Deeply personal. What is that? Just the Canadian, Chinese Canadian people?
A decade.
Look, I feel like a lot of the right-wing accounts, though, like I'm a right-wing guy, but I do feel like a lot of right-wing accounts kind of grasp at straws lately. I think there are good arguments you can make, but I think a lot of people want Carney to be like Trudeau and easy to clown on. He's not that easy to clown on, Carney. I'm a right-wing. I ideologically would be way more aligned with Scott Moe than Carney. Like I don't like the globalist point of view. I'm pro-nationalism for sure, but I don't think Carney's like this joke.
Mine is the first.
And I think a lot of the right-wing accounts in Canada still try to treat him like Trudeau, because Trudeau is such a moron.
Mine is the first visit of a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly a decade.
That's interesting. Wow.
The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
The New World Order? There's some conspiracy coded language. Who's everybody in here's favorite X accounts for Canadian people? If you have them. Or you could even include, if you want, your favorite YouTube channels, but who's your favorite X account? Like, is it Cat Canada? Is it this guy? Is it Table Salt? Oops. There's this account on here called Table Salt, which I might have muted this guy too, actually. I think I did mute the account Table Salt because he was always all over the place. Yeah, I muted him. I actually mute. Again, it's because the problem I have with Twitter, which I've said this before, I don't know if on this stream, it's so skewed to large accounts. So I got so tired of seeing the same like 30 Twitter accounts that I actually muted quite a few of them, like this one, because I kept seeing them all day long on my feed. On the day Mark Carney is in Beijing, the CIA, I started a campaign outlining a secure communications procedure for Chinese whistleblowers to contact them. We want to know the truth about China. No idea what this guy's talking about there. Dear Americans, if Canada becomes a Chinese colony, would you consider accepting Canadian refugees? We won't ask for money. We won't open fraudulent daycares, and we smell great. Thanks, a Canadian. Ryan Garrettson. Is that the Mark Nixon? I was just on someone else, right? Was I just on Ryan Garrettson? Yeah, I was just on his account. Then Mark Nixon. Let's see. Mark Nixon 24.
I wonder whether you think that matters, whether that personal relationship that you've developed is helping at all.
I'll refer back to we have the best deal. That's a starting point. I think, look, my view is that the U.S. respects strength. The president respects strength. He respects people.
He sees that in you?
Well, it's for him to answer. He wants to be a great man like me. That's what he said in public. It's kind of it's a good line. I enjoyed it at least. And you know, so being direct with him and what our objectives are and how we see it, that's important. But also he respects that the UAE wants to invest $70 billion or intends to invest $70 billion in Canada. He respects that we are launched trade negotiations with India, that we're have a rapprochement with China, that we are deepening our defense partnership with Europe, that we are increasing our defense spending, bringing it towards that 5%. Yes, he does respect those steps that we've taken. All of those steps are in Canada's interest. All of those steps are in Canada's interest, but yes, they respect that.
I saw this. I saw this AI generated video that somebody. Pretty girls walk like this. I think he falls so stupid. So dumb. Have you heard of the unacceptable fringe? I saw that on that person's stream last night. 1 in 3 Canadians suffer from severe DTS. What does that mean? Is that TDS just spelled differently? One, say US might try to invade Canada. Yeah, anyway, I think we pretty much covered the news of the day. I'll finish the stream here. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all the chats. I'll probably be live again tomorrow. Donald Trump syndrome, yeah. Wob Canoe. You like Wob Canoe? Wob Canoe. I mean, I don't agree with Wob Canoe politically, but he's pretty cool. Merci François, je vous souhaite. Yeah, anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you all maybe tomorrow, I hope.